Hello again, everyone. Happy Sunday. I am Gary Gotso. Welcome to our coverage. When I say our coverage, it's P1 Broadcasting coverage of Championship Sunday of the Dark Horse 2,000-mile ride Summer Series. It's a Grand Slam tour of the IndyCar Triple Crown tracks on iRacing. We are here in the racing capital of the world, Indianapolis, at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for round 4 and the final round of the series for the Dark Horse 500 presented by The Joy of Driving. Joining me in the booth as our expert analyst is the Catalyst Andrew Wood. Andrew, how are you?
Doing pretty well. We've sat through 3 of these races so far, and we're culminating at the best part of the IndyCar season. We're finishing up the season here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and I can't wait to see what these drivers have in store for us tonight. And I know we had kind of like a side sort of chat about how many miles everybody's completed in this league so far, so maybe we could talk a little bit more about that before we get started.
Yeah, let's actually bring that up. It's in the points. And we'll bring that on the page right now. Boom, there it is. Craig Forsyth, who is in the lineup right now and has not provisionally posted a time yet with about 3 minutes, 19 seconds left to play here in qualifying. He is currently your points leader with a perfect 700 out of 700 laps and 1,500 out of 1,500 miles completed.
It looks like we had quite a few guys, actually, that were kind of going for this 2,000-mile championship, despite it being a like a points championship, kind of like a fun little aside saying, hey, these guys have put in all the laps during this entire series. And yeah, it looks like it was down to Craig and I believe one other person. I can't remember, maybe if it was Wagner or
it was
maybe someone that wasn't here tonight.
It's Murph and Stouffer. And actually, no, it's the next highest is Peterson, Murphy have 1,497 and a half miles completed. They both finished, I think, at least one lap down. So that's 2.5 miles right there. Yeah. So they both finished one lap down at Pocono, and that's the difference right there. But yeah, going into Pocono, we had 3 that were perfect. And coming out of Pocono, just 1 that is perfect right now. And it just so happens to be our points leader.
It's very important for someone like that to try and get all 2,000 miles. It's so hard to even, let's not even think about the point situation, just to do 2,000 miles over the course of 4 races over the course of, 6 weeks that we've been doing this?
Yeah.
6-7 weeks?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it'll be just a great accomplishment to even complete the whole 2,000 miles. So we're going to keep a side pod kind of situation going for that, but at the same time, we have a race to do tonight, so let's see how we're doing in qualifying.
Yeah, we got a minute 30 left, and we are doing 4-lap average speed qualifying, so the times really on the tree are not indicative of really how they're going to line up. That is just their best lap of their run, so they might shift in the order right now, but the computer says provisionally Peterson is on the pole with a minute 10 left to play here. Forsyth second. The Murph is third, Stouffer fourth, Rogers fifth, Ramsey sixth, Gilherme seventh, Wagner not taking time yet. He's still on the racetrack. Morales also on the racetrack, Bahutsky and Santos. And we're watching Santos right there. There is Wagner going by. We're watching his run. So a number of cars still running with about 45 seconds left to play.
4-lap averages are always kind of interesting around here because, hey, most oval tracks you do like a 2-lap average, you do like an outlap and then do 2 laps after that, and then whatever your fastest average time is for those 2 laps is one thing. But when you go out there to do 4 laps, and especially a track like this where you're pretty much flat out all around all 4 corners of the track, any small mistake really brings your average down. So it's a very stressful situation for these guys. So anybody who qualifies up at the top of the grid here usually feels pretty solid about how they drove those 4 laps.
Yeah, and that is 100% unique to IndyCars at Indianapolis. I can't think of any other racing series ever that's done 4-lap average speed qualifying to get into its biggest race. Occasionally, IndyCar will do 2-lap average speed qualifying at its oval tracks. But I don't, and again, that's unique to IndyCar only. I don't see any other series doing that. And so one of the hard things about when you start doing this for iRacing and doing these broadcasts is when you put together these overlays, a lot of times these overlays are not set up for 4-lap average speed qualifying. And as you know, you have to get a special script and sometime even some special development done just in order to get that to work. Because it only happens for one series, one time a year, and that's it.
We can see that even with the 4-lap qualifying, the top 6 all qualified very, very close to each other within about 300. So a 4-lap average for those guys where it's definitely something that you feel accomplished about.
Let's get in there and take a look at today's starting lineup for just a small field today, but hopefully you'll a nice smooth run here at Indianapolis for 500 miles, and we'll get through this fairly quickly and with not a lot of drama, but we do want to see if Craig Forsyth can complete the 2,000 miles. That is the big story, as well as him looking forward. I believe this will be his, talking to him, I think this is going to be his first series points championship as well. So, but we don't want to count that out because Stouffer is still involved in the battle here, and we will get into the starting lineup and we'll show you where everyone is lining up. And there you go, see Peterson for another pole position for Peterson here in this series. Forsyth second, Santos third, the Murph is fourth. Stouffer and Wagner back on row 3. Rogers and Ramsey back on row 4. Gil Hermy and Pahutsky on row 5. Let's get to the next row here. Here we go. And then back on row 6 all by himself is Morales, and that is your 11-car field. It's not a deep field here today, but it should be some good racing. Just about everybody involved here has been a participant all for pretty much every single mile of this series, so they're looking to pad their stats as well.
One thing I noticed in these kind of smaller field races is that even though there's not a lot of depth in the field, there could be insane battles between 3 or 4 cars at one time. And we have guys in this field that have raced tooth and nail to try and get ahead. And I don't think there will be anything different tonight. I think even though it's a smaller field tonight, we're going to see quite a bit of battling here, especially in this series where it's the last race and someone wants to kind of take a stand and show what they got for perhaps a next season kind of situation.
And speaking of next season, no details yet on next season, except we just know there's going to be one. So stay tuned to the Dark Horse Discord server for that.
I don't care what you say, Gary. There's only 11 cars here, but as soon as you do a 500-mile race at Indianapolis, it always gets a little bit antsy. All you see is cars around you, behind you, ahead of you, and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm about to go 210 miles per hour into turn 1 on the start here. So I'm sure these guys, no matter what the field size, it's going to be a very, very interesting start of this race. So let's see what happens.
And the pace car is off field under the command of Eric Peterson, coming to the green flag at the Yard of Bricks. Green flag is in the air, and we are racing for 500 miles here at Indianapolis.
Side by side for the first 4 rows or so. It looks like got some side by side all the way through turn 1, which is what's to be expected. But let's see what happens into turn 2 and down the back straightaway here as they all fight for position and try and pick up 1 or 2 spots from their starting spot.
One car starting from pit road, 3 wide going into 3.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a kind of a deke move there to try and see if he could throw someone off their line a little bit. Didn't really work so well, but it looks like we still have our pole sitter leading. Actually, no, it looks like Stouffer came from P5 to take the lead on this particular lap. Eric Peterson did drop a little bit coming out of turn 4 there, but Stouffer leads going into turn 1 and 2.
Peterson, Forsyth, Santos, Murphy, and Stouffer, your top 5. Actually, I take that back. It is Stouffer, Wagner, Peterson, Forsyth, Murphy, your top 5.
It'll be interesting to see over the next couple laps what the attitude of these drivers are. Do they kind of want to sit behind the car, or are they really going down below that painted white line in the middle of the corners there to try and see if they want to get some clean air and get a run down the straightaway? But just judging off this 2,000-mile season here that we've had in the summer, I think people are really going to try their best to just kind of like gauge each other's strategy, gauge each other's lines, and try and see where they could pounce later on in the stint.
Peterson back to the inside. Yep, go ahead.
Like I say, it's not necessarily a get out in the front and run away, because it's very hard to run away in these cars. So it's going to be more of a game of what are the cars ahead of me doing, and how can I be a little bit better and a little bit different. As we previously mentioned, we had said that even though it's a short field, these cars are all going to stay together and we're going to have decent battles all the way through the top 10. We got the top 8 very close. We got the top 8 within a second or so. So it's not really even that spread out yet necessarily. And we're going to see these guys really go single file for a little bit, save a little bit of fuel, but you might see some movement over the course of 10 laps or so. You see cars that really feel like they can get ahead of the next car and be the best car to start the pit cycle.
It is 100% fuel for this Rule 7 limited tires, one fast repair. Pit road speed limit, I believe here at Indianapolis, is 60 miles per hour. Of course, it's a 2.5 mile rectangular shaped super speedway oval. We're doing 200 laps for 500 miles. Winner will receive a watch from the watchman who is not in the lineup.
We saw Craig Forsyth make a move on Matt Wagner there for 3rd place last lap. Looks like Wagner's kind of pulling over for also
Murphy.
So Wagner might feel a little more comfortable saving some more fuel behind more cars, but found it interesting to see that Craig is actually moving his way forward, whereas he usually kind of likes to sit back and do the fuel save situation. But Wagner might have taken a page out of Forsyth's book now, just kind of trying to ride and save a little fuel. He's a little offset from the cars down the back straightaway, which is a little strange, but he might have his own kind of method of how he's trying to figure out his fuel save method. But you can definitely tell that the cars are a little bit slower and trying to save a little bit of fuel. You see Wagner is still kind of riding out in that clean air. It's a little bit of a different strategy, but it might be something that he found works better for his car and his setup.
Yeah, Wags is definitely going to the inside down the straights. Not sure kind of what's going on. If he just wants to keep a view of what's ahead of him.
It could be any number of things. It could be just like a strategy he has to kind of try and rest his arms, rest his hands, something like that kind of feels a little bit better based on how he's set up to drive. But it is a little off brand for what these guys typically do, especially because you want to stay in the draft to kind of get any sort of forward speed you can.
Let's look at the weather conditions real quick. 68 degrees, track temperature is 94. In the draft too long, possibly overheating maybe?
It's a possibility, and it might be something that he knows, that just based on how his car is set up compared to what other people have going on around him. So if he's kind of pulling out a line a little bit and trying to do something a little bit different, it might be just kind of like his own way of relaxing and trying to kind of prepare for what's going on up ahead of him and actually do what, kind of like take account of what's happening in the race ahead of him.
Well, coming to lap 10 here. That's 1/3 of the way through the stint for these guys. About 30 laps is what we kind of expect on average for all these cars for a fuel run.
See Devin Ramsey back here in P8. He's really trying to make a move on Vitor Guillermo, and I think he might have the move done here, but this is one of those situations where you find yourself way back in the back of this line here, and you want to try and move your way forward, but you're not really quite sure of what it takes to actually move forward. And it's best to try and experiment all different sorts of lines back here while you can, especially if you're keeping up with the pack, and there's different lines you can put yourself on that might be beneficial to you later in the race. It seems like we still have the top 8 all kind of stuck together. Casey Potsky back there in 9th place is kind of starting to drop off a little bit. Nothing really too serious. He's still within contact. In case the cars up ahead really started a huge fuel save, he'll be right back up there again, because everybody will kind of react and kind of move back towards him. But Casey Potsky is currently 2 seconds back and drops off the pack a little bit, but it sounds like, if I were to guess, I would imagine he's kind of doing his own sort of fuel save by himself right now, and maybe trying to kind of pace himself and see if he can kind of do the same amount of laps as the guys that are in the pack trying to fuel save.
Checking out chat. Wagner has the knack of being able to drive and also type and chat at the same time. He's checking in. ISRA, that's Mike Rigney. New tree, yeah, we got a little bit of a new updated overlay, basically. Glad you're still up and kicking, Gary. Me too.
I actually don't know how I feel about typing and driving at the same time. If I'm driving, I don't want any distractions. I don't want a computer, a phone, nothing near me.
Right.
That's how I typically do it. And I know some people like to stay connected and listen to broadcasts and like kind of see how the race is going. But for me, it's I put my phone away. I put my computer away. I just want to be focused on me and the screen up ahead of me and nothing else. So good on those guys that decide to kind of like run a broadcast and then run the race at the same time, or run Discord at the same time. It's not something that I ever am interested in. Like, I can detach from the world a little bit when I'm trying to race. I'm trying to focus on my own race.
Murphy and Forsyth side by side. Give position to Murph.
I'm actually watching Podsky right now in P9. He is kind of sort of dropping back from the pack a tiny bit. I believe he's like 2 or 3 tenths back now from where he was when I first started mentioning him. So unfortunately, it seems like the pack is actually going a little faster than we thought. It looks like they're really, for the most part, staying in a single file line. Stouffer is really doing nothing to battle Peterson for the lead. And in fact, he might actually be helping him with the draft and trying to kind of sort of push him a little bit. As I say that, he's making the move for the lead right now.
Yeah, so much for that theory sometimes.
It makes for a good story. Basically what it comes down to.
Riding back up front with Peterson currently in second now behind Chris Stouffer, second in points into this 4-race championship.
And let's not forget that Stouffer has won 2 out of the last 3 races of this championship. So if he takes 3 out of 4, that would be incredible for someone during this mini series here to try and go for a win. But I think unfortunately that second race where he DNF'd might have hurt his chances to win the whole thing, if I'm not mistaken.
That would be something if he manages to pull off 3 wins and not get the championship.
Yeah, with such a short championship, it's very hard to come back from an adversary race of the 4 because you lose so many points that way. But what could have been if perhaps in the race where Chris Stouffer DNF'd, if he had just kind of finished mid-pack, finished like 11th, 12th or something like that, and then come back to actually win the other 3 races, I definitely think that's a win for the whole entire series. But we mentioned before that there are some guys that are missing tonight that have raced the previous races. So I think actually he might have a chance to either finish maybe second or third with 3 race wins if that were to come to pass.
And going through just to review the season. Race 1, Craig Forsyth won the pole at Michigan. Stouffer won the race. Race 2, Peterson won the pole, and Forsyth won the race. Race 3, Murph won the pole, and we see Murph now making a move on Stouffer on the inside. Clear on the 1. Now he's clear. Move the Murph up to P1. Stouffer staying high, getting clean air on those front wing planes, and now down the back straight. Stouffer's not going to be patient this time. He wants to get back out and lead. Stouffer won 2 weeks ago at Pocono with Murphy getting the pole there. So that is the kind of the season in review.
You went through that quite fast there, Gary. Very short season.
Yes.
Very short summer kind of mini series 500-mile races going on, which is actually a very unique thing that we found in this series in this car. And I think it's been very well received. Despite the low attendance tonight, perhaps people have other stuff kind of going on a little bit, but I saw that we actually had quite a bit of participation for over the course of the full 4 races there, and definitely a lot of good competition and guys that really want to try and kind of make their claim and show, maybe do a little practice. Some of these guys that race like mid-pack or so in the series normally, it's good for them to get out there and race with other cars. Even though it's a 500-mile race, that's more laps, more repetition, more trying to figure out how you're actually going to make your way forward. So I think it's very good this series went on, and perhaps we maybe even grabs a few new names as we see tonight that's in race before.
Murph to the inside of Stouffer, going into 3, and move Murph back to the lead. As they swap the top 2 positions going into 3.
Still seeing a lot of single file back around the Craig Forsyth area, so I can only imagine he's trying to save like a full lap on fuel. It's very hard to save in these cars in particular, just because you're mostly full throttle and the aero wash isn't so bad where you have to really kind of taper your corner speed here. So if anything, I think that these cars will pit probably in the next 10 laps or so, I imagine.
Yeah.
And maybe 1 lap apart, trying to save the fuel. But if it were me, it's a little too early to start considering fuel saving at this point. You're just trying to kind of manage your position right now and try and see where you fit in based on all the drivers around you. I saw that.
Devin Ramsey getting close to the wall. Yeah.
So the first stint's mostly just trying to gauge who you're driving around and see if you're better or worse than anyone. Just do the full stint. Come in when you can. Maybe you save a lap of fuel. Maybe you don't. Just try and gauge. Make sure you can do an efficient pit stop without messing up. If you mess up, then you kind of regroup for the next one. If you don't mess up, you're like, okay, I know exactly where I got to brake, where I got to stop. Exactly. Hopefully it goes well. You want it to go well, so you kind of know where you. And then the second stint, you start to save a little bit of the fuel and sit in line a little bit. Maybe try and get a few positions if you can to try and kind of mitigate any sort of pit disaster that might happen the second time. And then after the second stop is when you really start to consider, okay, this is a green flag race. Let me start to count backwards. So you don't want to count backwards too early, because anything could change in a 500-mile race, especially at Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Riding with Gil Hermy, back at 8th, is watching the action in front of him. Now, at lap 20, technically the window is open for first stops to happen. Since it is now every 30 laps, the way this works is if you pit every 30 laps starting at lap 20, that will get you to 170 and then home as for your final stop. But a lot of people don't necessarily execute that first stop at 120, or excuse me, at lap 20.
Did you listen to anything I just said? about when you start counting backwards. Yes,
Yep.
you're absolutely right. Mathematically, it's time to pit now. But you absolutely have to commit yourself to the next 6 stints being that way. And
Right, yep.
it's not a very appealing thing. Of course, you could do it, and some people might choose to do it just to do something completely wild. But it's very hard to say that for the next 180 laps or 82 laps or 178 laps or so, that it's going to go green the rest of the way. So it's a little foolish to come in early right now, which, as you see, nobody is kind of taking your your surprise breaking news there.
That's why I'm in the booth and no longer racing these as much as I used to.
I'm watching the behavior of these cars now, and you can definitely tell the tire wear is starting to kick in a little.
Yep.
Like you saw Devin Ramsey getting high a couple times there. I'm actually watching Eric Peterson, and he's kind of struggling a little bit to keep up with the leaders. He's good in turn 1 and 3, but when he gets to 2 and 4, he really starts to struggle and fall back in that dirty air a little bit, and he starts to really fall back, which gives Forsythe a little bit of a momentum. But Devin Ramsey's about to make a move here, I think, because he understands that Peterson's starting to kind of hold up the field from third place a little bit. Ramsey doesn't get the spot done, and it gets harder and harder as the tires start to wear out. So he had a good move going down the back straightaway, but I don't think there was enough on the bottom line to try and clear them. I think if you kind of try and find that clear air around the outside and then swoop underneath, it looks like he's kind of doing that right now. So I think he might try and go for a move in turn 3 here again. I don't know if he'll get it. Actually, looks like he's kind of holding back a little bit, but I think Peterson is the first person in the line that's starting to kind of struggle a little bit with trying to find the clean air, especially in turn 2 and 4.
Look at how leaned back those rear wings are too. It's almost, you could almost read the 4D across the back wing of Ramsey's car from the seat. And there's a Jomo making a pit stop. He's coming off a pit road right now, as well as Pahutsky. But yeah, you could almost sit in the seat of Gil Hermy and read the 4D sponsorship off the back wing of Devin Ramsey. That's how that back wing is so laid down. There goes Wagner to the inside of Forsythe to get at least attempt on the position, but the high line seems to be improving right now with these worn tires.
Tough to really find what the best line is around the track right now. I think these guys are trying to make their moves, but the tires are really starting to wear now. So I think it's best to find the cleanest air you possibly can, because the clean air thing. Unfortunately, if you do that on the low side, you're going to scrub a lot of speed down there and not really try and get past the car that's on the high line. So you have to almost kind of outsmart them a little bit and try and see if they get dirtier air than you do.
Matt Wagner in chat says he's focused.
Well, that's nice. I'm also focused. I'm focused on cars driving around, and we're getting to lap 30 right now, so I imagine we're going to start to see the field kind of start to peel in within the next lap or two here. Stouffer and Peterson have made the call. They'll be in this lap. Wow, Devin Ramsey almost clocked that wall in turn 4 again. I don't know if he was watching what the cars were doing on the other side, but he got very lucky that he did not scrape that wall there. But yeah, as we mentioned, it looks like the cars are starting to kind of consider peeling off to come in. Stouffer and Peterson were the first one. I imagine it's going to be a lap or two more before we see the rest of this field pit in. I believe Forsythe has done his job for the fuel save, so he might stay out one lap longer, but I'm sure Murph, Wagner, or Santos might be in this lap. Looks like they did another one. They can't do much more. Vitor Guillermo is in right now. He's in kind of by himself, so it'll be tough to see if he's actually able to do a better stop than Wagner and Peterson.
Peterson staying out.
Stouffer and Peterson.
Yeah,
right.
Peterson coming out in front of the leaders because they're going to stay in the lead lap.
This is the big lap right here. We have Wagner, I'm sorry, Murphy and Craig Forsyth coming in this lap.
Look at them all.
Santos,
Ooh,
Edson's
geez.
coming in very fast.
Wow.
I think Santos did it. Vitor Guillermo beat out Stouffer. I'm watching on track right now. I think Stouffer just got the move done. Peterson was a little slower, so he lost some time. But Stouffer, it looks to be the faster car right now. Looks like Guillermo came out of the pit lane a little faster. So Stouffer's coming past start finish right now. Let's see how he does with the other cars that just pitted.
They're going to get Ramsey. But the top four are kind of broken away now.
It's going to take all the way through the exit of turn 4 for them to get a full speed situation going on here. I think Stouffer might not get the leaders, but he will absolutely catch up to the back end of this foursome that just pitted. He's bringing Guillermo along with him, Ramsey, but Peterson, I think, kind of lost out a little bit there.
Leader now after the exchange of pit stops, Murph, then Forsyth, Wagner, then Santos, and Stouffer in fifth. Enjoy P1's coverage of the Dark Horse 2,000-mile ride series. If you respect the stream, please do us a solid. Make sure you support us by subscribing. And while you're at it, don't forget to smash like and click the bell so you don't miss out on future P1 iRacing broadcasts. And we do have another busy week ahead of us. Here's Murph back to the point.
It's very interesting that these guys have come out in pairs. We have P1 and 2 together, P3 and 4 together, P5 and 6 together. So these guys are all going to practice their swap drafting, which is another phase of this race that you don't normally see. It's you got to find a good partner you could trust and that someone that can swap draft with you. Looks like Guillermo and Stouffer are not the best swap draft partners right now because Guillermo is just kind of sitting right behind them. But you can see up front that Murph and Forsyth are completely just – they're really trying to get the best advantage here. Santos and Wagner are our P3 and P4 swappers. The last lap by, they kind of broke even a little bit. I trust the Forsyth Murph swapping to be the most efficient just because they've done this many times before. Murph has been a sponge in this series and in this car in the past, and he's someone who really has kind of shown up to be the fast guy here. And I'm sure that he's kind of reading what Craig is putting down. Santos and Wagner are kind of doing it pretty well as well, but I don't think they're going to get back into a foursome again. Maybe until about halfway through the stint.
Coming up to the 100-mile mark of this 500-mile race. Lap 37 of 200 are in the books. Clean and green so far. And I think Ramsey might join that third group back there.
Music to Stouffer's ears if you could find someone else that actually can do an efficient swap draft. If we kind of measure on the camera what these swap drafts look like, you could see what works and what doesn't work. And if you're able to kind of move by each other on the straightaway, giving everybody the draft down each side of the track to get the most speed entering, you want a high entry speed on turn 1 and turn 3 in order to get this done. If you do it efficiently, you can really make a lot of ground. But if you don't do it efficiently, you could be like Stouffer and Guillermo, where you're kind of just starting to fall back little by little because you're not able to keep up with the car up ahead of you in the draft.
And
you're right. It looks like Ramsey has gotten to the head of that now. So now it's gonna be Ramsey and Stouffer trying the swap draft with Guillermo, just kind of sitting back watching.
Now watching out the backside here of Wagner is Santos going to get the run down the front straight. You'll see him pop to the side there. Yep, there he is. Not much lifting going on out there.
I have to say that the Wagner and Santos swap drafting is a little bit more efficient right now than the Forsythe Murph swap drafting. I mean, when I say that, it's by like 100th or 2 of a second. But you keep doing that the right way. If you don't mess up, 100th a second for over the course of 15 laps will get you right back up to there again.
Yeah.
If those two guys ahead can't do it any better. So Santos and Wagner are actually doing the swap draft just literally like a whisker better than the leaders. You could see it kind of on the camera too that they're starting to kind of close in over what we just talked about 5 laps or so ago, just little by little.
And checking out chat, got Julian checking in. Joseph Canellis from the VRL series that we broadcast on Wednesday night. Joseph, we're going to get you one of these DW12s or IR18s one of these times. Whole new experience, my man. And yeah, and actually, we'll go back to Ramsey. Ramsey around Gil Hermy. And he is now up, and now it's going to go take a shot at Stouffer going in the 1. Oh, Stouffer almost into the wall.
Just avoided it there. Had a little bit of a tank slapper, but nothing to really worry about. But I think Stouffer feels much more comfortable working with Ramsey than he did with Guillermo before. He's about a 10th off of what the leaders are doing, the top 4, but it's definitely much better and kind of plugs the holes of the breaking dam that he had with Guillermo before. So from here, it's just try and work as efficiently as you can and maybe chip away a 10th or 2, maybe a half second before the next pit stop.
And we're not that far away from the next pit stop. We are, all these guys are at least a third of the way through as these laps are very rapidly clicking off with no cautions so far. We should see next pit stops occur. Everybody's, for the most part, stopped by lap 33, so we should start seeing pit stops in the next 20 laps, give or take. So we're not that far away at all.
Just watching Ramsey and Stouffer's lap times this time by to see if they're able to do like a 1 or a 2. I think that they're actually catching or maintaining, but it looks like they're doing 3s right now, whereas you can see the Wagner Santos group is doing 1s and 2s. Murph and Forsythe are doing 2s and 3s, which leads you to believe more and more that the lap time shows that they're closing in little by little. So I think it's just a matter of holding back the right amount, trying to get that draft down the straightaway, and then sending it into turn 1 or turn 3, depending on what side the wind is blowing. Essentially, is where you really want the heavy stuff. But look at Santos. Santos definitely is closing right now into that draft of the 2 guys up ahead of him. So I think in the next 3-4 laps or so, you're going to see the top 4 close up to each other.
Stouffer again flirting with the turn 1 exit wall right there in the south short chute. Joseph says just as long as they turn left. Actually, yeah, the Dark Horse DW12 series, which normally runs a regular season. This is kind of a special summer series just for these guys. But they do. It's an all oval series. The races tend to be about 200 or so miles in length for your average race. Most they'll have like a Triple Crown race that maybe go 250, and then they'll always run a full length Indy 500 during their season. So all the races are not terribly long, with the exception of Indy. But for the most part, everyone is pretty well behaved, even with the fast repair. So you know what I'm talking about, Andrew, when sometimes you get in those leagues that have the fast repair and you're like, oh, well, it's just another opportunity for the squirrels that don't need to use a fast repair and to get back in there and wreck people again. We find an awful lot here in the Dark Horse series that they try their best not to use that fast repair, and it's there if they need it, but if they, and there it goes into the wall, Stouffer, and that's going to cost him a little bit of momentum and might open the door for Victor to take a run down the backstretch.
I missed it. I was just going to mention that the two groups up at the front have now caught each other.
Yep.
It looked like I saw Wagner kind of sit behind Santos at one point and not do the swap draft to allow Santos to get the highest rate of speed going into turn 3 on last lap. And you saw as soon as he went into turn 3, he got right up behind Murph's car, rear wing there. And now you can see that officially that second group, that second pair, has worked efficiently enough that now they've caught the leaders. It took, and that's the thing, is like it may seem like you're only chipping away a few hundredths at a time.
It's like a 15 laps.
You do a few hundredths at a time over the course, like over 18 to 20 laps or so, you'll start to see that sort of close. And I think Wagner saw that their rate of speed going into turn 3 is a little faster, and Wagner's like, nope, I'm just going to sit right here, allow them to swap draft up ahead while Santos clears that clean air, and next thing you know, they're right up back in the battle with them. So we got the top 4 battling once again. Meanwhile, we have, like as you mentioned, Stouffer desperately trying to claw as many hundredths of a second as he possibly can to get back, and then winds up tapping the wall. So unfortunate for him, but it looks like I'm not sure if it really hurt him too bad.
Don't think so.
He might have a quick optional repair situation going on, which will be okay. If not, maybe he just uses a fast repair, gets it over with to make sure he has no ailments. But only he knows what's going on in the car right now, based on how it feels.
Coming to lap 50 next time by. Murph runs to the point now over Forsyth, Santos, and Wagner.
Unfortunate first round of pit stops there for Eric Peterson, our pulse hitter, who now finds himself way down in P8 and not near anybody.
Man, that was a bit of a slow pit stop, but it was I look to me more of a deliberate stop, just to make sure you dot all your I's and cross all your T's. Just get in there nice and safe, get the service done, get out, no penalty.
What better stop to do that than your first one? But in such a small field as this, when you see that you're running P2, P3, and you come out P8 and you're not near anybody, you're like, oh my goodness, what am I going to get back in this race? But you have to realize you have a whole nother 420 or so miles to go. Anything could happen, especially with an 11-car field. And we saw Stouffer made that mistake into the wall there a few laps ago, and that could easily be a caution if he had kind of gotten a little loose, a little flat situation going on. So anything can get anybody back into this race. And we often talk about the boring factor, the quote-unquote boring factor, where there's less cars in the field, so when you're driving around, you're trying to hit the apex 4 times a lap for 200 laps. It's very easy for your mind to start to wander a little bit. And next thing you know, you're like, oh no.
Yep.
Oh no, I missed the corner and now I'm in the barrier. Anything can happen here, especially when you're kind of running by yourself and you don't have much to worry about. This top 4 really hasn't changed too much. Murph and Forsyth, they're still kind of swapping, and Wagner and Santos are just kind of there for the taking, but this is a perfect opportunity for them to start saving some fuel. Even if they don't go an extra lap longer, any sort of milliseconds less of fuel in the car, and they're able to get down off the jacks and go, that actually might make a difference and maybe have them jump these two guys up ahead.
They have this group of 4 has a 5-second lead over the next group of 3. That's right behind them there. You'll see them entering the picture down the stretch. There they are. And just to let you know a little bit more about these DW12s, what sets them aside from the IR18s. These are legacy cars, so they get updates every now and then from the iRacing service. Like recently, they got a damage model update. They're on an older tire model. And here's it past Murph to the inside. But in a fixed setup race, the tools inside, so you have the front roll bar, the rear roll bar, anti-roll bar, front and let me say it again, the front anti-roll bar and the rear anti-roll bar, those are locked in position. You cannot change those. Same thing with the weight jacker. The only thing that you can manipulate on these cars during the race is brake bias. So it really is you and your two hands and how you manage the throttle is really what it boils down to. Very much a driver's car, this DW12. It's a lot of fun.
Do you remember there was a time where they called them sway bars?
Yes.
Isn't sway bar easier to say than anti-roll bars, but you tripped over your own tongue a few times together?
And I think they don't want to call them sway bars because they're sway bars on stock cars, and so they're trying to differentiate themselves from a stock car, you know, and instead of loose, it's oversteer.
I didn't know that actually. I thought sway bar was just kind of like the generic garage term for that.
It was, but I know that they have sway bars in stock cars too, so I'm just guessing that it's just another way of differentiating between a stock car sway bar versus an IndyCar sway bar.
They just basically want to make you trip over your tongue like you did.
I did.
I saw you tried so hard to do it.
I did, and that's why I'm semi-pro.
Let's just say ARB. That's
ARB is right.
It's like the cool kid way of saying it.
What do you have your ARB set at?
Yep. So Murphy and Forsyth still champion this field. That pair that was up at the front before. Santos looks like he wants to get in the mix, but he's also kind of like,
Yeah, why should I?
Not a lot of clean air here, so I'm not really going to try and push the issue. And Wagner's even more saying, like,
yeah,
please don't get involved, because then I have to try and find some sort of clean air to get involved with. But it doesn't matter what they're doing. Wagner is just kind of chilling there, and they're pulling away from poor Stouffer, Ramsey, and those guys back in P5, 6, and 7. So they're doing everything right, this top group here.
And we're expecting pit stops here really, really shortly. I mean, that's how fast we are moving here. Because now we're kind of in that window. Right around lap 60 is when we expect next round of stops to occur.
Well, if you think about it, you could have mentioned on lap 50 that you could have made it to the end, but yeah, no one's doing that. No one's going for the end quite yet. So, people are going to do the first 2 stops for sure. You might start to see 1 or 2 people peel off on the next one, but I imagine it's going to be after lap 100 that people are going to start counting backwards.
Warren Rogers showing him on pit road, lap 57. I think Warren started from pit road to take things safe. I think with 11 car field, I would have taken the green flag. I have started from pit road before in my my one and only fixed Indy 500 that I did, and that was a very smart move because lap 1, turn 1, the guy that would have started next to me wrecked. So that was a wise move on my part. But not always the best decision to start from pit road at Indianapolis.
That's a great story, actually, because you always try and imagine, like, oh, I'm going to try and avoid the wreck, and next thing you know, you're in the wreck.
You're in the wreck, yeah.
And sometimes you're like, why didn't I start from pit road? So that's actually like a success story from starting from pit road. I believe Stouffer might be coming in this lap.
Yes, he is, and he's bringing a teammate with him. And Peterson. Ooh, little twitch there at the cones. On the rev limiter.
Yep, no harm, no foul.
Another thing that they do have active on these cars is the rev limiter. It's a button you can push that will keep you from exceeding the speed limit, but you got to hit the button before you hit that cone.
One interesting thing is that since Stouffer and them are about 6 seconds back, they may come out right in the draft of Craig Forsyth, who's leading the race right now. So that'll be interesting to see if Craig gets a little bit of a draft and pulls on them. Hopefully, Stouffer and them don't go a lap down, because that'll be detrimental to their race.
Man, it's going to be close. They're in the short chute. Now they're into the short chute. The racers are. You see them coming to the bottom there on the access road and right in front of the Riley Children's Hospital suites. And there they are. You're right. They are not in the draft. They are going to come on alongside of them.
I think Forsyth's coming in now, so the next group of cars might be pitting right now. And these guys are on fresh tires, so it's going to get a little bit dicey for these guys that are trying to pit and trying to make sure they maintain any sort of gaps to the cars ahead of them.
And here comes Forsyth. Here comes Murph. But staying out, Santos and Wagner. You called it.
Now it's very important for Stouffer to make sure he stays on the lead laps, and he's taking the position there into turn 1, so he's on the lead lap right now. Should a caution come out, he'll get all that track position back and leave Wagner and Edson in the clutches of going a lap down there. But I imagine that Edson and Matt are probably going to pit this lap.
Next lap or two, yep.
Stouffer rides the outside, keeps the outside line. Wagner
just
comes
Wagner.
in. So Edson seems to have saved enough fuel to go one more. Stouffer is in danger right now, being a lap down.
Now, Santos' teammate did come down on pit road this time. Vitor is coming down pit road as well. So I actually, again, for people watching at home, in case they're wondering what leaner energy is, and he slides through his spot, so he's going to have to back up on that one. It is solar power management software. I thought it was like an energy drink, and I was talking to one of their team members about it, and I was going to ask if it was an energy drink, can they send me a bottle? Can I try it or something? And he says, no, they're not rich energy. They're just, I guess, poor energy. But it's solar power management software. That's what leaner energy is. That's what they do.
Interesting stat there.
Yeah. I had to ask. I wasn't sure what it was. Santos, your leader, coming to pit road.
Yep, we got Devin Ramsey that just made the move on Stouffer. So this swap draft continues. And this is the best time to try and get some sort of gap on the leaders here. So Ramsey and Stouffer continue the swap draft, and we'll see how they stack up once all the pit stops are complete.
And back to the front here is Santos is going to hustle it out. He's going to come out right behind the leaders, probably right around where he was racing with Wags. There's Wags right there. So move Santos up to third. Wags now fourth. Murph and Forsyth back to the point where they were swapping the lead all pretty much the entire portion of that second stint. Pit stops are done for everybody for this stint. You're just joining us. This is P1 coverage of round 4 of 4 of the Dark Horse 2,000 Mile Ride Series, coming to you from Indianapolis. The Dark Horse 500 presented by the Joy of Driving. Currently right now, Craig Forsyth, your points leader, looking to go perfect and run the table on miles and laps completed. And we're only 65 of 200 into this here. Thanks for joining us. Make sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the next race. Tomorrow night is our next race. It'll be the ISRA Truck Series. It'll be myself and Luis Gonzalez Nunez. We'll return back to the mic after a week off, and we will be at, where will we be at for the Truck Series? We will be at Chicagoland, so that ought to be a good time there with the trucks at Chicagoland. And we are patiently waiting to hear from the admins here of the Dark Horse Series when their next season, season 8. Yeah, they've been around for 8 seasons, guys. This is the longest running DW12 series on the service, and they have been around for now 8 seasons, and they're looking to start their next one sometime in October, looks like. So if this is something that interests you, make sure to join the Discord server, hop in there, sign up. add to the car count. And just about every driver in this series is pretty good. The very few names that I looked up and down the order, I think, these guys don't have a chance. Just about everybody has a chance on, as they say, on any given Sunday.
I've been locked into this Sofer Ramsey swap draft here, and they're doing very efficient work here, trying to catch up to these leaders. And very, very, very slowly, they're starting to chip away a little bit. Looks like Sofer actually ran a 40.2, 40.1 last lap. So they're actually being very efficient with spot drafting now.
And Ramsey has the purple lap in the race. We know he has pace as well, a 39.8 for the purple lap for him. So next stops, we're expecting next stops now into the 90s at some point, right before the midway point for our next stop. And again, we're not that far away. We're coming up to lap 70 now. And we're really getting it close to the 200-mile mark as well. Down the back straight, separating two portions of the Brickyard Crossing golf course. It is a public course, and you can go golf there if you come to Indianapolis. Just pay the greens fee. And we see now 3 groups of 2 kind of engaged here in battle. Forsyth and Murphy, Wagner and Santos, Stouffer and Ramsey. The top 6.
When you break into pairs like these, it's very interesting to see like which drivers really try and hang on the outside, try and get the best run they can down the straightaway to do the swap draft effectively. You see Forsyth is really kind of trying to hold back as much as he possibly can and get that big run down the straightaway and get the overspeed to take the run into turn 1. And then Murph really kind of holds back here. You can see that he is really trying to get as much speed as he can entering turn 3. So I think these guys are doing it the most effectively, where they have the biggest draft going down the straightaway, and the last second they pop out and take that spot there to do the swap drafts effectively.
All 11 of the cars that started are currently still running. Everyone has been keeping it clean and green to this point.
Murph takes a big swing out there to pass Forsyth going into turn 3. And he gets the job done. And Forsyth hangs back a little bit. You see Forsyth kind of hangs back through turn 4. Makes a big run down into turn 1. I think that the top 2 are doing the most effective swap drafts right now.
Did you get a chance to check out the Pro Series on Thursday night?
I did not, but I heard it. There were fireworks, for sure.
Yeah, the hired guns kind of laid it out on the community, so to speak, the community drivers for round 1. So we'll see how the community drivers come back at Long Beach. But yeah, it was the professionals. I think 1, 2, 3, and 4 for the Indianapolis road course round.
It's so cool to see that the Pro Series has come to the IndyCar because they've been clamoring for this for so long. These guys have been working so hard, and some of the community drivers, especially the ones that drive this car so effectively here, have been waiting for this. And unfortunately, they realize that there are other cars out there that can be faster than them.
Now a little bit of a separation between Murph and Forsyth. Not as close as it was before entering the corners.
Yeah, I think Forsyth's trying to maximize the swap draft here. He's not getting the actual run that he wants, but that doesn't matter because they're still the fastest two-car pair out there. So we'll see what happens when it comes to piss-out time. Maybe one of them can try and break away a little bit. At this point in the race, you're hoping that the car you're swapping with actually is the car that you want to try and get you a little bit more ahead of the cars that are behind.
Have I made the right choice?
Yes, you want to make sure that the car you're swapping with is the car that's going to be kind of your ride or die for the rest of the race here. It's not even just the cars that are racing up front. You have 4 sets of 2 pairs now, going all the way back to P8, that are trying to do the swap draft situation. And I'm sure some of these cars that are sitting around like P6, P7, P8 are just hoping a caution comes out so they can get in a better situation for the restart and find a new partner to dance with, essentially.
Coming up to the 200-mile mark at lap 80.
As you see, like midway through the stint, it seems like Santos and Wagner are the best swap drafters out there, and they're slowly closing in on that top 2 again. So the pit stop hasn't worked out so well for them, but the swap draft is being very effective, and they can definitely sniff the top 2's draft if they continue this going.
This is Santos' second race this weekend in the DW12. We participated in the VOR Iconic Series, which is the name of their DW12 series, the Velocity Online Racing channel. They have a DW12 series that runs Fridays, and Edson Santos is the reigning defending series champion. Has a podium finish at the last race that they were just at Nashville. So he's been on a good roll this weekend in this car.
They got themselves down within a second now, so they should start to sniff the draft of the top 2 a little bit. I think Santos is very effective with the swap drafts here. Wagner's kind of along for the ride, but all 4 of these cars have a shot at the win here. Wagner had a bit of a moment there at turn 4, but I think he's still pretty quick.
Been a while to watch this. I can take you on a real quick tour of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. My home track. It's where I grew up. Right here on the north end of the speedway, going over one of the entrance tunnels, going through turn 4. Now they're paralleling Georgetown Road. It's on the other side of the grandstands to your right there. And then the yard of bricks. And then turn 1, just on the other side of the grandstands there, is the corner of Georgetown and 16th Street and the main ticket office. Then they're going over the main entrance right there and turn in the short chute. Right in front of the original suites. And turn 2 there. Down the backstretch. Separates 2 portions of the Brickyard Crossing golf course. There are 4 holes in the middle of the speedway there, as well as a midget track, a dirt track. And then back down the front straight again.
I saw my seats for the Indy 500 as we drove by there, so just to the right of the front straightaway.
Right about here, right there was my very first seats with my very first 500 and turn 2, right there. But right before the grandstand stops and then the turn 2 suites start. And then for the longest time, I sat right about in here, give or take, right in turn 4 for many, many years.
Yeah, we love the front straightaway seating. My friends and I, we get to see a lot of the pit action. And
pit stops are fun. Yeah.
In recent years, the pit stops that were right ahead of us have had quite a bit of action. So those are definitely good seats. But I'm watching Matt Wagner right now. I think he's finally caught up to the top 2, and he's in their draft now. So the top 4 have now found themselves near each other right when it's time for another pit stop.
Yep,
so
exactly.
We'll see pit stops probably in about 7-8 laps or so.
But if we get a chance going down the back straight one more time, and we'll ride with Wagner here as he's now well within this battle here. Watch him just suck right up to the back of both these cars here. Checks up a little bit. Now back on full throttle through turn 2. So you see some trees off to the side here of turn 3 on the outside of the racetrack. Up in one of these trees, this is residential area behind the grandstands there. Up in one of those trees, actually one of the residents had built a tree house that they can actually climb and watch the race from their backyard.
That's incredible.
It's awesome.
Don't have to pay the $100+ for the tickets there to make sure they see that these Indy cars race here every May. I can see Edson is really holding back quite a bit, so he's trying to save the fuel necessary to make up one more lap like he did last time. And I think Wagner wants to disrupt this top 2 a little bit, but he can't quite get there necessarily yet.
I think I heard a car on pit road, and that is Warren Rogers. He's on pit road for his next stop. Real quick, season-long sponsorship of the Dark Horse 2,000-mile ride series brought to you by The Joy of Racing. If you're looking for some entertaining sim racing content, look no further than The Joy of Driving. Follow Mark Cohn's racing escapades as he battles for wins and avoids wrecks with cat-like reflexes, all the while providing commentary sure to make you laugh, cry, or both. Follow along by subscribing to The Joy of Driving on YouTube or like his Facebook page at The Joy of Driving. And we got a car into the inside wall. That might be your first caution. That is going to be Devin Ramsey. And that's a caution.
That was kind of unexpected, especially when the swap draft was going on with him and Stouffer. I wonder what happened there.
Well, check it out. This is them going through the short chute. And again, they're not very far away from getting fuel and tires. So they're very light. Tires are very worn and hot. And the back end just starts to come around. He catches it, comes around more, and then catches it, and then into the inside wall. Very
strange incident for sure there. It looks like he it was like a double catch and then suddenly like a spin.
Yeah.
It was kind of a strange incident. I'm not really sure what the problem with the car was necessarily. It's not like it got kind of like loose on the exit or something like that. He had the exit sorted, and then all of a sudden the car just kind of came around on him. But yeah, this is like a dream come true for Santos. Almost just kind of went over a little bit crazy there, but that was definitely Stouffer was a little bit probably like taken aback by it, but at the same time he's like, okay, now I get all my track
now you get all
back.
track back. Yep.
So obviously, like you said, this is very close to the pit stop rotation, so everybody's coming in right now. Unfortunately for Warren Rogers, he fell a lap down. He'll get a wave around and everything like that, so he's fine. I believe Puhatsky was also a victim of pitting, so he will also get a wave around. So everybody's going to be on the lead lap. Just those guys that pitted will be at the back.
That incident very reminiscent to the incident that Ari Leyendijk had when the IROC series ran here back in the late 90s. Yeah, that was actually one of their very first, not quite safer barrier, but what they would classify, I guess, as a soft wall or as a wall add-on safety barrier. That's the very first spot on the racetrack they actually put it in real life, was right there on that inside wall leading to pit road. And Ari hit that during the IROC race there and basically tore the thing off the wall. It did its job, but the thing is, once the wall got used or the safety equipment got used, there was no going back and repairing it. You had to replace it. So then the newer technology, along with the Speedway helping out in this development of safer barriers, started to come around shortly thereafter. Forsythe's getting out ahead of everyone on pit road. Murphy second, Wagner third, and Santos fourth. And Stouffer with the big break getting up to fifth now, or where he was fifth anyways, but now he's back with the leaders. And it was in a critical position and at a sacrifice of his own teammate, really, to get him back up in contention. But we are right at the halfway point. Lap 90, we were expecting pit stops to happen now anyways, and that's exactly what happened.
And now it's time for the math backwards. You had mentioned that if you pit like lap 50 or so, but now it's going to be like lap 110, etc. So we may have people come in a little bit early going forward from here. It depends necessarily on what people feel the vibe of the race is. Is it going to be a green race where you could just kind of like do a short stint at the end, or do you want to do it kind of early? So as we saw from I think the last pit stop where guys that were 6 seconds back pit and they fell a lap down, it's a matter of trying to figure out, okay, I'm 3 seconds back from the lead. I could pit, come out in the lead, and then hope a yellow comes out, essentially. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see some of these like P5, 6, 7 guys, Stouffer, Guillermo, and Peterson, consider doing something like that just to switch it up a bit and see if they catch themselves on the right side of a caution. I would like to say this is a cautions breed caution situation, but we have such a small field here where I can't see a caution coming out right away, unless you see something that is a little strange. So Stouffer, all these cars that just pit, such as Warren Rogers, Casey Puhatsky, Joseph Morales, they're going to all come back to the back of the field. So the whole field will be together again. So this is the opportunity for these guys to try and make some moves and pick up maybe 2 or 3 spots and maybe find themselves up a little bit higher than they were running prior to the caution.
Lights are out on the pace car. We are going green this time by lap 91. 90 coming to 92. And there goes the Mustang pace car. Taking that jerky right or left. And here we go. Green flag as we see the back of the field catching up. Green flag underway, lap 92 here, the Dark Horse 500. Almost at the halfway point. Not a good restart behind Wagner. Santos is kind of holding up Stouffer right now. Too wide through the short chute. Peterson looking to the inside of Santos. And all the while everyone's racing for position behind Stouffer for 4th, 5th, 6th, the top 3 are starting to pull away already.
Not a good look for P4 that's trying to maintain position here. So Forsythe, Wagner, and Murph have kind of pulled out a lead, as you mentioned. And these guys that are trying to find their way back up towards the front again, such as Stouffer, Edson Santos, they're falling back a little bit. Now it's up to them to try and kind of swap draft to get back up to that lead pack again.
Ooh! Vitor and Warren Rogers getting a little chippy back there in the back portion. And Rogers, Pahutsky, Morales got back on the lead lap as well. Warren Rogers to the inside of Vitor. Gets the position. Pahutsky might just follow him on through. Pahutsky's going to do it. Staying low, staying high is Vitor. And both those guys clear Vitor and move them up 1's position. And Warren Rogers now to 7th, Pahutsky to 8th.
Watching this threesome up at the front here. Looks like they kind of settled out. Forsythe just kind of found himself tucked in neatly behind the two of them. And the two battle ahead, trying to find the swap draft situation. It's always tough being 3rd place because you could always fall back into the swap draft that's going on behind, which is exactly what's happening with Santos and Stouffer right now. But at the same time, Forsythe knows he has a shot at the front if these guys kind of mess up.
Checking out chat, is Craig still going for the 2,000 miles? Yes, he is. He's the only driver eligible to go for the 2,000. And
I'm so glad other people are watching that, that part of the championship.
Only driver going for the 2,000 and every single lap turned in competition. Joseph Canellis, yeah, just a little wiggle. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't take much with these cars. You've been there, I've been there. Sometimes you just round the corner that you've been around. You know, in this case for Devin Ramsey for 90 laps that have felt the same pretty much every 90 laps. And then the 91st lap you come around and all of a sudden the back end comes around on you.
It's always at the exit also.
Yeah.
Which is easy to forget. Warren Rogers planting himself right here in this threesome that's right behind the leaders. Came very close to Edson Santos' left rear there, but if these three really want to make any sort of hay, they need to really work together to make sure that the swap draft works. And Warren Rogers cutting down on the inside is not helping anything there.
You maybe got to wonder if Stouffer might be a little damaged from wall contact earlier, and that's impacting his pace. He doesn't seem to be able to keep up with this lead pack of cars like he's been able to, but there's been a lot of stuff going on that's been adding to that, so we can't definitively say there's any damage on the car. Cooperation with the drivers around him has not been very high.
I'm trying to get a temperature reading of these cars in the second group because Warren Rogers seems to want to get up front here, but unfortunately the guys ahead are kind of blocking him a little bit, and it's kind of hindering their progress a little bit. But I don't think they've lost the draft yet. I think once they figure everything out, it should be okay. But I think you're right. I think Stouffer might be carrying a teeny bit of damage because when he drafts up there, he's not as fast as when the drivers behind try and do it. So. I'm a little bit confused as to. I think Rogers actually might be the fastest car in the group, but he's stuck there in third, and he's being batted away by the guys that are trying to swap drive right now.
You see Rogers, the third car in line. There he is. Get a better
You
shot.
see he closes up very fast on the two cars' head, and then he kind of has to sit there because he's told to, essentially, and the swap draft kind of stops. I think if it was Rogers and Santos, I think that they actually could probably close on the leaders very fast. I think Santos is just wants to save fuel. I think he's just sitting there behind Stouffer when he easily could do it. And Peterson and Rogers are like, "Come on, guys, let's get this going here." All right, Santos goes for it now. Yeah, I really think Santos is just thinking about a fuel save. He doesn't want to swap drive. But he was forced to do it that time because he understands that the gap is sort of dwindling. I think Rogers doesn't care about fuel. He just wants to race. So I think he's probably the best person to do it.
We get a shout out for Vitor in the chat. Vitor's back in 9th. I'm biding his time. Still on the lead lap. Plenty of time to go.
Looks like they've started the swap draft machine right now. I still think Stouffer is not the best car in this group to do it. I think you're right. He may have been carrying a little damage, or he may just not work as well with Edson. I think Warren and Edson would get those cars up there very fast. And Stouffer, in the meantime, could also save a little bit of fuel if he just kind of hangs back. But I'm sure Stouffer has done the swap draft at the Indy 500 multiple times. He knows he could do it. I just think that Warren is the faster car in this pack right now.
Murph taking a look at the inside. Wagner into the position. Greg just kind of hanging out and watching.
They made big strides that lap. They all did zeros in that second pack. Zeros and ones, whereas these guys up front did threes and fours. So they closed in at least 3/10. So this second group actually is very effective at the swap draft right now. And again, when you have the third car that's kind of in line there, it's a distraction for the guys that are trying to swap draft here. So as much as we thought that this group wasn't as effective, they're going to be right up to this pack very soon.
250 miles down. Now we got less than 250 miles to go. The countdown has begun. It's a backwards count for a lot of these teams. Drivers combinations, they are starting that countdown now. It's really looking like counting down the lap 170.
You're absolutely right. I don't think they're going to start the countdown at 110. I think they're going to try and split this up into a few drivers might split this up into like 25 lap stints. So we might see someone come in around the 115 time frame, knowing they could run full bore, 115, then possibly 143 or 144 or so, and then come in 170 and be good to the end. So right now they're just trying to make sure they're all in one pack, and this second pack is working so efficiently right now. Like Edson's drafts on Stouffer have been absolutely perfect. So I think that this pack is going to close up, and I think Edson's going to fall back and try and start his fuel save now. Yeah. And I think Stouffer's going to want to get to the front.
Well, Stouffer's there. Stouffer's right there on the back. Not a good exit off of 4.
Edson's not going now. Yep, yeah, he's just kind of sitting now. Now Edson's going to start fuel saving, which is what he's wanted to do this whole time.
Ooh, grab a little bit of the
A little bit of curb.
Yeah.
Yep, I saw the same thing.
Typically, we don't see apron bad here in Indianapolis, but, well, in real life, it can grab you. I mean, you saw it with Ericsson in practice. You saw it with turn 1, lap 1 with Bloomquist.
Stouffer wants ahead. He's going to save a little fuel here, but he wants to get to the front of that pack. Searching for clean air turn 1, takes the normal line turn 2. I think he's got Forsyth ahead of him, a teammate, so it's going to be difficult. But I think Stouffer wants to be up front here. He doesn't want to sit here and save fuel, especially when you get to the point when you hit the 110 mark. You can start to kind of make your way backwards from there. So fuels isn't a problem for some of these guys. I know fuel's not a problem for Wagner. Wagner wants to go. Stouffer wants to go. I can see Forsyth, Edson, maybe Murph wants to save a little bit of fuel, but Murph is swap drafting right now, which is not very effective when you have the whole pack behind you. But I could definitely see that Stouffer will want to try and get to the front as soon as he can.
And again, we're big picture-wise, outside of just winning the race, we do have the series championship to be concerned about as well. And I think Craig can lose a position or two to Stouffer and still secure the championship.
All right, I think Stouffer's setting him up. Yep, Stouffer's going for the inside for P3 here.
Now he's going to get aero wash because the car in front of him. Oh, careful. Here we go. And yeah, he had a shot, but unfortunately, Murph was running the bottom too.
Very unfortunate. You thought you had it, and the next thing you know, you got the dirty air. But I thought Forsyth actually kind of missed the high line a little bit in turn 1. I thought he was going to kind of wash out and have to lift, but it didn't seem that way. So it's not over. I think Stouffer's going to keep trying to push here.
Yeah, the position that we got, if I'm with Craig, I have to finish this race. I don't necessarily have to get, the 2,000 miles and the 900 laps complete, but I absolutely have to finish this race. If I do not finish this race, I mean, that's where the chances of me losing my lead in the points championship. And the guy he's racing is his teammate right behind him, who's first in the picture that we see. That's Stouffer in the 15.
Murph made a big mistake there into turn 3, and it stacked up the whole pack.
Yep.
Second through 6 is very, very close. I think Murph might have touched the curb wrong or something like that. So that was a little bit of a bummer for Stouffer trying to set up Forsyth. For sure, because he had to kind of check up a little bit, and so did Edson, and so did Warren Rogers behind. I thought it was Eric Peterson, but Eric Peterson's actually making a move now. I'm Warren Rogers going down the back straightaway.
Yeah, Warren Rogers has the draft, but
I think Peterson's got it.
Yeah, Peterson has the better line.
That's all a byproduct of the mess up in turn 1. I think Peterson was just coming from behind. Everybody had to kind of check up a little bit, and Peterson just had to rocket through turn 2, and he had the momentum going. So that's how you do these passes here. It's not necessarily setting up one corner. That was something that happened 3 corners prior. And Peterson kind of saw what was happening and said, I'm going to keep my foot in it and make sure I'm going through the next 2 corners. And sure enough, he gets the spot there. Murph goes to the inside of Wagner, takes the lead again. Yeah, so it's very tough when you're in this pack to make a move, and you saw Stouffer try it. And I don't think Stouffer wants to be in P4 now. He wants to be up ahead of these guys, and even though Forsyth's a teammate, Forsyth's not going to be like, okay, I'll just pull over and let you go. He has to work for it. And if you work for it hard enough and you're able to outsmart the guy ahead of you, especially a teammate that you know what their strengths and weaknesses are, it's very easy to do.
Pahutsky coming to pit road.
So Pahutsky might be counting backwards right now, but he was outside the outside that margin to stay on the lead lap, so he's probably going to go a lap down, which is not very good when you're trying to do this count backward situation. Only thing that helps is if he goes off strategy a little bit, and the yellow might come out when he's back on the lead lap and all these guys are starting their pit stop rotations. Actually, Pahutsky comes out ahead of the leaders.
Yeah, he does.
Well, that's interesting. Maybe he's short field a little bit because he was about 5 seconds back when he came in, but he managed to come out ahead. So caution comes out now. Pahutsky is looking to be the leader. And this could get very dicey for the leaders, too. If the leader happens to pass Pahutsky and he does not get out of the way, he is in the middle of the leader battle. So this could be, you can see everyone snaking down to try and get the draft. So they're trying to put him a lap down, but if he gets himself right in the mix of the top 3 there, he's not just going to pull over and let the whole field by. He's going to fight to stay on the lead lap because he knows that a caution comes out. It's very beneficial for him. So looks like we got Peterson's coming in. We got some cars bailing.
Oh, did Wagner speed? We'll have to see how Wagner, when he hits his box, does he get a 40-second hold?
Everybody's scrambling down the back straight right now, trying to get around Forsyth. I think Edson is making the move now. He might be on his way in this lap. I think Warren Rogers is also in this lap. Forsyth is also in this lap.
No hold for Wagner. Here comes Stouffer. Here comes Forsyth. Here comes Warren Rogers.
Everybody that just pit last lap is back out on the back straightaway now, so that gives you the gap. Wagner is the farthest forward of anyone that pit that lap, so let's see if he manages to make any sort of distance on the cars that are in the pits right now. Wagner across the start-finish now. He has, I believe that's Murph that's passing him into turn 1. Looks like these guys that just pit are all going to lose out right now. Murph and Wagner take the lead.
Santos still out there.
Santos is out there with no help right now, and
minimal help. He does have a lap car in front of him of Pahutsky, but
when you do the backwards counting pit stop, you have to make sure you pit along with those guys, or else you're going to be swamped. Especially when the whole field does it, it's not like you're getting an advantage just trying to stay out longer. But it's strategy for sure. He can't be out there past 120 or 121, even with a fuel save. So he's pitting very shortly.
Yeah, we're on lap 120 right now. We'll see what he does halfway down the backstretch. In front of the turn 3 grandstands. Into the North Chute. In front of the Northwest Vista. Here is his pit stop. He called it.
He got extremely loose coming out of 4, and then he slams on the brake. I thought he was going to do a Devin Ramsey there, but looks like he managed to get it down the pit road. I don't see him coming out with anybody in this lead pack. He's going to fall way short. He was doing 40.4s by himself. Leader swap drafting doing 40.1, so he's going to lose a lot of track position here.
Oh, and he slid through the box, but he hits the marks.
He must have just slid through the box.
Down and away. And where does Wagner? They're at the start-finish line at the Yard of Bricks. And they're going to pass him in the turn 1 access road. Here comes Forsyth. They're going to pass him in the turn 2 access road. And you're right, Santos is going to pop out right behind this group. But he lost a lot of time.
Luckily, he still came out in the draft, though, so he's not too lost, but he has a lot of ground to make up, at least like 3 to 4 seconds there. So, yeah, he's got fresh tires. His last pit stop will be a little bit shorter if he's able to sort of push right through. But, yeah, that was a bad choice to stay out as long as you did, because once you get back into the pairs again on the fresh tires and start swap drafting, you're by yourself. You're going to lose a lot of time.
Now, I don't think this is reflected in the sim, but we're always talking about the last stop being the fastest stop, and that's not necessarily the case in real IndyCar racing. The reason why is those tanks that you see on pit road are gravity fed. They're not pressurized. There's not a pump there pushing that fuel out. It's just the weight of the fuel pushing itself out of an elevated point. And typically, pit stops in the late stages of the Indy 500 are slower because the fuel flow is slower. I don't think that's actually reflected here in the sim. So a lot of times when final stops do occur here in sim, they are much faster than everything else, just because the pressure is assumed to never be changing in those fuel lines, and then you're actually receiving less fuel on a final stop, because you don't necessarily need, depending on when you make that final stop, a full stint to complete the race. So let's reset things. We got Wagner and Murphy, P1, P2. We got Stouffer and Forsyth, P3 and P4. Peterson and Santos, P5 and P6. And Rogers and Vitor, P7, P8. So all the top 8 kind of each one has a dancing partner, so to speak, right now, at least for this stint.
Noticeably closer, though, than before that caution. So everyone's kind of got a dancing partner, but it's going to all matter based on how best they swap. So Wagner and Murph are good. Stouffer, Forsyth, teammates, they're going to work together perfectly fine. Peterson and Santos. Santos has been a little bit questionable on his swap drafting, just because he's been saving some fuel. But I think the fuel saves out the window at this point, because everybody's going to make it on 2 more stops. So Santos hopefully will be able to swap just fine with Peterson.
Peterson about greeting the turn 2 exit wall there.
I think that Stouffer and Forsyth are the best swapping partners right now. So give it 10, 12 laps or so, they'll be right up to Murph and Wagner. They're probably talking to each other. I mean, I'm sure Wagner and Murph are talking to each other as well. But I know Stouffer has years and years and years of experience of swap drafting at Indy. I'm sure that if there's any sort of hiccups at all, he's going to be coaching Forsyth to make sure he does it the correct way. It's different than doing it with, say, Devin Ramsey or so. So I think that it's not going to be a battle for now, but give it to like lap 137, 138 or so, and the 2 of them are going to be right back up to the lead again. And as you mentioned, not all 11 drivers are still around, but we have 10 drivers still healthily on the lead lap right now. So this has been quite a haul for some of these guys, especially guys that don't really finish so well in the series in general. They're definitely running good laps, and they're competitive, regardless of what the size of the field looks like.
You saw everybody on the backstretch. The cars go to the inside. Everybody on trying the same idea with this swap drafting. Coming up to 325 miles done at lap 130. We're at lap 128 now. We've only had the one caution, which happened right before the halfway point. And we are about a third of the way through this stint right now. But that's how fast things are just kind of clicking off here.
It's easy to say that you and I are sitting here in the booth just kind of chatting about racing. Imagine these guys that are just sitting in their sims and they're turning left and left and left and left and left over and over again, and they're having it hard. They may be running by themselves or swap drafting or doing anything of that matter, but it's very easy for minds to wander. What time do I have to get up for work tomorrow? Do I have to shut the garage door? Do I have to take the trash out? You know, like all these things,
Right.
all these things play a factor. These real life. I know you're laughing, but these are things
No.
that everybody thinks about.
No,
you know,
I've had that happen to me. I mean, during my again my lone fixed Indy 500, I race in VR, and for whatever reason, the cat who never ever wanted any attention decides to hop up on my lap in the middle of the race while I'm racing in VR. So anything can happen while you're in the middle of these races when we're kind of in the dog days, the middle laps, the kind of the boring portions of the race. We were just waiting for a strategy to unfold.
You know, the VR thing has always been kind of surreal to me. Like, it's cool and everything, but listen, I live by myself, and if I put some goggles on, I don't want to be sitting here and then I take my goggles off and there's someone like robbing my house. You know, like that's my biggest fear with VR goggles. Like, they're cool and everything. I'll sit here on my screen and race everything I can and be able to see my surroundings just in case like something horrible happens. You know, so it's cool and everything. I've done it, but it's not something that I would want to do full time. So this swap draft of Stouffer and Forsyth seems to be going the wrong way.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they've had a couple of strange swaps, but they were closing into about a second, and now they've gotten to a second and a half. And not sure what's happened here, but they're not catching leaders anymore.
So we're expecting next stops. We're about halfway through. They stopped on lap 117, 118 for a lot of folks. Santos made it to 121. We expect Santos to be near 150. But we expect the rest of these to be near 140.
Still too early to chip that lap count down. I think we're going to see more like 145, 146.
Yep.
These guys.
Hearing a car coming off a pit road. I believe that might be Morales making a pit stop at lap 132.
Stouffer and Forsyth have kind of gotten their act together a little more. They're back to doing 40.1s again. Unfortunately, it looks like Murph and Wagner have also been doing ones. Last lap was a 2 and a 3, but it seems to be ping-ponging back and forth which pair is doing better. So they're not very much closing on one or the other, but I hope my garage door closing pontification didn't hurt them too badly where they started wondering if their garage door was
I wonder if my garage
on.
door is open. The last 10 lap average for the top four. Wagner at 40.2, Murphy at 40.2, Stouffer at 40.2, and Forsyth at 40.2. In fact, Murphy, Stouffer, Forsyth, last 10 lap average, a 40.245 exactly. Wagner is a 40.244. That's how much the disparity is very even between these four cars right now at the front. Ooh.
Murphy got is that your ooh? Is that Murphy?
No,
Murph got,
Craig Forsyth about made a little contact with the Stouffer there and the short shoot.
I was watching as you said that Murphy almost took the turn one wall down. So yeah, these if you guys think that this is such a very simple dance here, it's not a simple dance.
Hey guys, your garage doors are probably up, okay? So don't worry about it.
And there will be a raccoon in your trap. Don't worry about it. Forsythe couldn't make the move there. Yet this is a matter of tire wear at this point because Forsythe tried to run up on Stover there, but he could not make the move into turn 1. So that's gonna really slow the lap time down. I think Forsythe's gonna have the run going into turn 3 here. Why don't we pull up that weather forecasting? Because I'm curious if the wind has anything to do with here.
Yep.
Because if you have a headwind, obviously it's very much easier for swap draft because the leader can't get the speed and the car following doesn't. So
I'm showing virtually no wind. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I was going to say, like, one side of the track will be much easier to swap draft than the other if it's a north or a south, east or west. Nope, I'm wrong. North or south wind.
Yeah, and I'm not going to talk about. I will never talk about weather again with you on the broadcast. That is. I exceed my area of expertise has been way exceeded there.
It's okay, I brought it up this time. I'm just curious if there's a headwind or a tailwind on the long straightaways that actually make it kind of interesting because, yeah, if you have a tailwind, obviously it's very hard to swap draft if both cars are being pushed down the straightaway by wind, essentially. But looks like there's no wind, so that's not really a factor here. So I would imagine that the difficulty that Stover and Forsythe have now is the tire wear. We've been running for over 25 laps now, so especially following in turn 2 and turn 4 to get the big run down the straightaways, that's very difficult for these guys.
Track temp is 95, so that might be the biggest factor there. Although 95 degrees track temperature, I mean, you and I have both driven in worse conditions than that, so I'm sure 95 is not really impacting them that much.
Despite that, they're still about a second and a half back. They're not losing any ground, really. So, you can also check out Eric Peterson, who's kind of on his own island, and he's not dropping back too much. So the swap draft is not as effective as the stint goes on because Peterson by himself is doing 40.3. And these guys in the swap draft on the warm tires are also doing like 40.2, 40.3. So swap draft is not effective at this point. Honestly, if you ask me, if it were me, I'd come in the pits right now on the 140 mark. Especially if you know you could do 30 laps, just come out, do your own thing.
Yep.
Make everybody else answer around you.
And we are at the lap 140 mark right now, 350 miles in the books. Does anyone make the turn down pit road? Anyone going to change it up?
Yep, back it up. Start your pit stop rotation now. You know you can do 30 laps. There's nothing hurting you. Stover came very close to that turn 4 wall there.
Edson Santos. He made an early stop. He's only 5 laps into his stint.
That's interesting because didn't he stay out the longest?
Yeah.
But he also didn't come in with 30 laps to go.
No.
I would like to ask him what he's thinking there.
He is by himself right now, 5 laps into his stint. He pitted on lap 135.
That could be like a personal matter. Someone else in the pit lane, Pahutsky.
Pahutsky in pit lane, yep.
But Pahutsky goes a lap down, so that's not helpful also. Yeah, I wonder if Edson Santos had maybe an issue, mechanical issue or something going on that he had to come in the pits and take a breath for a second. Because he definitely can't make it to the end unless he's doing like a super fuel save, which is not an effective strategy once everybody's able to do 2 more stops easily.
And we got another person in chat giving a shout out to Vitor. There is Vitor. We'll show him in 7th spot in this group of 3 cars back here. Warren Rogers in 6th, Vitor in 7th. And then Vitor's teammate, Edson, is in front of the leaders right there on the tail end of the lead lap at 8th.
I'm saying 145, 146 for these guys. I don't see any harm in coming in right now, but it seems like they have their strategies locked, especially these pairs that are working together. Wonder which pair will come in first. If I were in this pair, I'd say you pit first, I'll pit next lap, and we'll meet each other on the other side.
Split the strategy. Yep.
You don't want to come in right behind somebody because then that just creates all sorts of stress and tension, and you don't want to run to the back of anyone or anything. So if I'm in a pair, I'm saying you go first, I'll go next, or I'll go first, you go next lap. And then should you guys do your pit stop efficiently, you'll see each other. They're faster, though. Stouffer, Forsyth, they've very much closed in on these leaders the last couple laps. I'm not sure what's happening. Stouffer goes high in turn 4 again, almost takes the wall down, doesn't. He's going to get the run on Forsyth going into turn 1. I wonder if Stouffer's found something here because they're closing in on this front two about 3 or 4 tenths for the last 5 or 6 laps or so.
Yeah, that time
it's not going to matter just because they're going to be pitting soon. So
yep.
Closing in a tenth or two is not going to make a grand scene. It's time now to have a good pit stop and try and shake up this pairing a little bit.
That time by the top 2 were 40.3, whereas the lead car in the next 2 was a 40.1.
I think this is another good lap coming for these guys.
Yeah,
I can visually see the gap closing rather.
Peterson pit road, Warren Rogers pit road. Next to last stop for both these guys.
Yep, you could visibly see if you look at the front, the first 2 pairs there, they have closed massively. Forsyth touches the curb, turn 3. Not a good spot right there.
He's gonna keep it there. And all the leaders coming to pit road.
Wow.
Yes.
I thought Forsyth was going to speed there because he got very loose, and I think it messed up his entire rhythm of braking. But the top 4 all in at the same time. Nose to tail. All right, so my prediction was off 1 lap. I saw it was 145 or 146. I mean, they did come in on 146. They're on 147 right now. There goes Murph. There goes Forsyth. Forsyth gets out ahead of Wagner. I wonder if Wagner had a
Wagner had a 10-second stop.
I actually think, I was listening, I think Wagner might have sputtered coming to his box, so he might not have had the speed. But look at this. Look at Pahutsky.
He's a lap down, though, but he's right in the middle of this.
He's a lap down. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Wagner. This is just letting Murphy get away.
I think Pahutsky might have had a penalty here. Looks like. There's no reason he should be running with this leader as a lap down. He must have had some sort of penalty. Possibly had a 40-second hold.
Last stop for Pahutsky actually doesn't show a time, so there might be a penalty involved in that. So,
I mean, nobody was close to a lap down under normal running, so Pahutsky must have had a penalty. Look at Stouffer. Oh, man, Forsyth running high. I think they had a netcode touch there. Forsyth's very close to the wall. Wagner's got the run. I'm pretty sure that there was a netcode touch there, but it didn't affect them. But it shot Forsyth a little bit wide. Ooh, very close for Stouffer. Is that Stouffer?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, doing the snake down the backstretch. Oh, whoa, no, don't want to go 3 wide, and into the wall for Stouffer. He's back out. He's still growing. But is he damaged now?
I think Wagner's got the wall also.
Oh, and he turned. He's spinning down the front stretch. We'll see what happened here. This was probably not the smartest thing. It probably should have just tucked in back behind Pahutsky, but they went 3 wide. He had to run on the outside, and just dirty air, not dirty air, just dirty track, hits the wall, and well, it doesn't look like he damaged it too much at that point, but the way that he wrecked on the front stretch.
I don't really understand that one. Like, the car just doesn't loop like that unless you have a flat tire or some sort of damage or something there. It looks like he's pegged. You can actually hear after he spins, he's pegged, almost as if there's some sort of.
Ooh, wheel DC. The way his hands just snap, and we're riding with him right now. Wheel DC. Just one thing on top of another.
Yeah, it just the way the car pitched like that down a straightaway. It seemed like it almost like it was like an emergency brake, like one of those e-brake things in the movies you see. Like you pull the e-brake and you kind of like 360 all the way down the straightaway.
So that might have just decided the points championship for Forsyth. Now Forsyth still needs to finish this thing. That just might, if he does, that might have just decided the points championship for Forsyth with his chief rival Stouffer out. Stouffer's won 2 races this mini season. Was looking for his 3rd. That's not going to happen today. We're on lap 150.
Checkers or wreckers, am I right? Like,
yeah.
It's either win or crash for Stouffer. That's an interesting kind of thing to kind of like tack onto.
Santos and everyone behind him come on the pit road.
Scratching my head yet again, just because this doesn't help. Everybody just pit. Oh, I mean Santos pit a little off, like we mentioned, which was kind of strange, but in such a small field, I guess it doesn't hurt, right? You're not going to lose anything but maybe 2 or 3 spots. So maybe some fresh tires will do these guys some good.
And Murphy is accosting the pace car. Yeah.
He wants to drive the pace car, I think. This is, this is garage door material, Gary.
Yeah.
So I want this race to be over now, so I'm going to go ahead and put myself inside the pace car, I guess. I don't think Murphy's garage door is open right now. I think he just wants to have some fun.
All right, so we're going to reset the field. We're going to go green probably at lap 154. We're coming up to the 400-mile mark.
Stouffer is still in the pit lane. So I don't think Stouffer's going to rejoin. At this point in the race, if you go a lap or 2 down, it's pretty much over.
Still don't have word of when Season 8 of the Dark Horse DW12 Series will kick off. We're thinking in sometime in October, and we will cover it here on P1. It'll be myself and Andrew Wood doing that again. But the best way to find out more information on Season 8 of the Dark Horse DW12 Series is head on over to their Discord server. I believe the link is in the description. Join the Discord. Join the discussion, sign up for the next league when they start the signups, and hop on in there. Dark Horse Series, been around for a while, one of the longest running series on the service. Not only just the DW12 series, but just IndyCar series in general. If you're looking to try these DW12s out, it is a free car. It comes with the service. You don't have to buy it. All you really need to do is buy the tracks that are on the schedule, be part of it.
Was Andrew Wood informed that he will be commentating in the future?
Yeah, he'll get consulted for sure.
Okay, great. Just double checking.
And Wagner says he left his door open. Yes.
Well, that's too bad. You'll have to close it.
Rafi Eckert checked in as well. Go Leaner Energy. Not on track today because of a Brazilian league. Okay. But Julian got a nice idea. We need a Saturday night league. Well,
enough leagues.
Enough leagues.
You're a busy guy, Gary.
I am too busy. I need to scale back. Green flag in the air. At lap 154.
All right, so let's reset. We have Peterson and Edson come in. Yeah, so they're good to go until at least 183 or so.
Yeah.
Imagine. So everybody else will be coming in the 175 or 176 range, with the caution maybe 177 or so. I don't know if people are going to do the 170. I think that the best thing to do would be come in around 170 or 171 to try and solidify to make sure you'll make it to the end. Just in case there's another caution, you'll just go right to the front again.
Yeah.
We did see right at the end of that stint, though, that the tire wear really started to play in just because the swap draft wasn't working so strongly. I actually don't know. I think either strategy could be effective as long as you're taking the right amount of fuel. The fuel might be the same time as the tire change. So, yeah, I'll be interested to see which strategy works here, because I think maybe Eric Peterson and Santos don't have to take tires. They risk it, don't take tires, come out of the pits, save a couple seconds or so, just do a splash and go, and maybe they jump a few spots. Top 7 locked together, lockstep. I don't think anybody's going to really be saving fuel here, so this should be a straight-up battle amongst top 7. Find your clean air and go. Perfect opportunity for Warren Rogers to pick up a few spots here, because we saw that he really wanted to get to the front as best he could. He's kind of hanging back a little bit, a little slower than the guys ahead, so I'm not sure if that's a problem or if he's maybe saving a little bit tires later on, because the tire wear is so bad that maybe he later on in the stint.
And yeah, we're just watching this thing. 157 coming to the 400-mile mark. Getting a little impatient there, Wagner. Just stay in line. Still got a long way to go.
Getting close to the wall there. Okay, so everybody's garage door is closed. Now let's see if you let the window open in your car, and the rainstorm's coming. So that's my next thing I'm wondering is, like, oh no, is my car gonna be wet when I go into it tomorrow morning? I think the garage door thing is played out now because Wagner has decided to go on about it. So that's my next thing I'm thinking about. It's like, oh no, like, is there a thunderstorm coming? Do I gotta shut the windows of my car?
Did I leave the dog out?
Yeah, I gotta let the dog in. Can't leave him out.
If I'm not mistaken, this is a Vitor who's in P5. This is his first ever Dark Horse race. I don't see any other record of him. Double checking. I don't see any other record of him in the history, the league history. So this is
he's P4
rookie,
now.
Yeah, true rookie race for him.
Just past Santos, but again, yeah, he's only there just because of the caution, obviously, because he was nowhere to be found in those pairings of the swap draft. So hey, sometimes that's what you need, and that's what guys like Stouffer and Devin Ramsey at the time were looking for with the first caution, because it would close the field up. But I mean, this is the best that I think Warren Rogers has been sitting towards the end of a race. We've seen him up front before, but he's not been able to get the job done.
Ooh, yeah, I saw that. Yep, that was Vitor. And P4, a little bit of a kiss of the wall there. And Murphy, this is his 11th start in the league. He has 1 win. Greg Forsyth this is a 69th start in the league. 11 wins. Wagner, his 70th start. He has 7 wins. Here we go. Vitor to the inside. He's going to go send it straight on up. He'll move him to third as he does the Brazilian slide right in front of Wagner. Wagner getting the position back.
If you're going to do that slide, you got to do it the right way and not get past in the next corner.
Right. Edson Santos, this is his 11th start. He has 1 win. Warren Rogers, his 6th start. No wins. 1 top 10. Fanning out on the front stretch, 3 wide. Wagner tucks back in behind Murph. Murph stays high. Ooh, a little bit of a wiggle there from Forsyth. If you're just joining us, you're watching a heck of a shootout in the final stages here of the Dark Horse 500 coming to you from Indianapolis. Presented by the Joy of Driving. We're completed now 162 of 200 laps. Make sure to smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the next race. That's tomorrow night, 9:45 p.m. Myself and Luis Gonzalez Nunez, ISRA Truck Series at Chicagoland. Should join us with that one. Are you doing broadcasting Monday night, aren't you?
Me?
Yeah.
Sorry, me? No. Nope. Monday is, well, now it's Monday Night Football night. On Mondays, typically, I was running the PRL series earlier this year, but I took a little bit of a break from that. My team kind of fell apart, but I think we're going to come back a little bit later this year into the winter months once everyone kind of chills out and is inside their houses.
Back again in the
yeah, doing
inside
that.
of heat and out of the cold. Yep.
Yeah, so I was in the PRL LMP2 series, which has gone dry now. Now it's the GT3 LMP3 series. So
if you want to check out ISRA, it's a bunch of ex-Lionhearters driving NASCAR stuff.
Definitely something I'm interested in. Just I haven't driven a lot of NASCAR stuff lately, so if I were to join, I'd probably be in Nowheresville, but it might be fun. Seeing some names again.
And Forsyth to the point. Vitor! That is Vitor. Sorry, yeah. They're an identical looking cars. Vitor is the lead car there. Edson is the next car back in the Leaner Energy and liveries. Peterson to the inside, getting the pole down the straightaway. He's going to stay to the inside, try to get at least one spot there. Still to the inside in the short chute.
Look what happened. You get a little side by side like that, and
yeah, and they lose contact.
And they lift.
Yep.
Exactly.
Here goes Vitor to P3 in 1, and move Vitor now up to P3 as he's going to try to pull this group up to Forsyth and Murphy.
Wagner's dropping back a little bit. Oh, okay. Oh, he's making the move there, but yeah. They're losing contact with Forsyth and Murph.
Oh! Edson getting really close to the wall there in 4.
That was about as close as you can get.
Wagner.
I'm riding along with Warren Rogers, and just because of all the dirty air back here, he has to completely come off the throttle.
We'll hop on that one. We just watched Wagner kind of do a bit of a slide on Santos. Parked his car there and made him eat dirty air. And you see the 2 leaders just up ahead right there. They're getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Warren Rogers 230.
You can really feel it.
I'm going to say Warren Rogers 234 and backing off before going into turn 1.
Yeah, last lap in particular, like you were mentioning with Edson having to lift off there, like Warren was completely off the throttle going through turn 1. Again, this, the swap draft gets very, very tricky once the tires start to wear. So I would take a risk if I were someone in the second pack and pit on 170 or 171 and just run.
Over there.
Bring everybody else with you. Like, make everybody else kind of pit. You don't have to pit with anyone. You don't have to pit and kind of like measure where you're braking or anything. Like, you can make it. And once the tires really start to wear and the swap becomes less effective, just come in, get it done, and run flat out and hope that somebody comes out right with you. And I think that's the key at this point. I saw that in the last stint. That the tires really started to wear. I think it's best to just kind of run your own race and make your own strategy. So I'm going to be watching on lap 170, 171 or so.
All right, or there.
Maybe not 170, maybe 171, 172, just to ensure that you'll make it on the full tank. I think Rogers touched the wall, maybe there in turn 1. Still watching, still following alongside his far chase here.
So the window is open to get to the end right now. Do we have any takers this time by the pit road for final stops? Part of this Dark Horse 500 presented by the Joy of Driving. And again, I want to thank Mr. Cohn, Mark Cohn, the Watchman, for sponsoring this entire season. The winner of this race will get another one of his watches from his collection.
Now Rogers
in the wall. Yeah,
yes, that definitely happened.
But if you're looking for some entertaining content, make sure to check out Mr. Cohn's, his Joy of Driving YouTube page and Facebook page. Just search him out and subscribe. And I want to thank him for his season, four race season long sponsorship, really, of this entire series and helping get it together. So thanks a lot.
I hope Cohn's watching and enjoying the show wherever he's at tonight. And it's a shame he couldn't make it tonight, but hopefully he's out there enjoying it.
That was a lick. I don't know how hard he hit it. Here comes Santos.
I mentioned before, Gary, these tires are not... Come in the pits. Anybody listening, please pit now. Let's get this over with.
Box, box, box. Box, box, box. And here they come. Santos, Wagner. Ooh, Santos, he hit his marks. He skid to him, but he hit him. Great job. Wagner's done it away. And we're going to drag race out. And we're going to drag race on the on the access roads. We don't get into, let's not get into the Eliseo Salazar moment. Santos out well in front of Wagner now. All right, anybody else? Next takers. Murphy and Forsyth.
Here, Vitor's in.
And he's up on the jacks. He's going for new tires. Down, bounces the car, and he's rolling. Final stop complete for Vitor in the 12.
So Forsyth and Murph are still swap drafting out here, so it'll be interesting if this is effective. They're doing decent lap time still. Here comes Vitor out of the pits, right by Edson and right by Matt. I think Matt's going to be a little bit farther back and not going to quite make it, but I imagine we'll see Forsyth and Murph coming in the next lap or so.
Oh, Stouffer says we can pull him in and ask questions. He sent this a while ago.
I was just going to say, like, what do we want a guest in here?
Yeah, let's go ahead and bring him on in here. If we can find him, if he's still there. He is.
I got him.
We'll have him join us in the closing laps here. Here's Chris Stouffer, who had, I think, did you have a wheel DC there or something?
Yeah, I did have. I had a malfunction in my wheel. It decided to change the Xbox mode somehow. I pressed 2 buttons at the right time or wrong time, depending on how you look at it. But I don't know how well my car was going to be handling because it all happened so quick right there.
Hindsight, was it smart to go 3 wide on the outside with the slower traffic?
Well, it was just one of those deals. It was all happening so fast. I knew we were going to clear the. I felt like we were going to clear the lap car, and he would, just fall in line behind us. Like I said, it just happened so fast. It's just one of those deals. You just got to make a decision. We came with a head of steam, so being the lead pack, being the leaders, thought we might have a little bit of leniency there, but it went the way that it did.
Wagner had to stop on pit road again at 175. Not sure what happened.
Yeah, I don't know either. I wasn't in Discord with them, so I don't know what's happened since my incident.
Well, you can stick around in here. Did you see what happened with Wagner on why he had to make an extra stop? Did he not change tires when he was supposed to, or did he not get fuel and change tires instead, or what? Do you see whatever happened there, Andrew?
No, I actually missed it. I saw it. I saw he came out of pits and kind of wiggled a little bit, but it wasn't really an issue. But it's possible he might have had a speeding penalty.
It would have been a drive-through, but he did stop in his box for 16.1 seconds. Now, we'll see. Warren Rogers, now your leader. We're coming to 20 to go. Very shortly.
I was actually more focused on the Forsyth Murphy pit stop there. That I didn't realize that Wagner had stopped again. But I saw that when they came out of the pits, they were trying to catch his draft down the back straightaway. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's what raised me to him. I said he shouldn't have been around them by that point, and then all of a sudden he was. Rogers and Peterson right now closing stages. These guys are going to both have to stop here. Last time,
guys that stopped on the caution.
Yep, 27 laps. Yep,
yeah,
27 laps. Both stopped at lap 152. 27 laps into their stint. So tell us the conditions out there, Chris. I mean, it doesn't look like really the track temperature is up there, but certainly these things look like they're a bit of a handful midway through a stint.
Yeah, once you get the low fuel, it certainly the back end starts to get loose on you. If you're not prepared for it, it could catch you out. Unfortunately, it did my teammate Devin, as you saw there early on for the first caution that we had tonight. So, you certainly have to be aware of that when it gets low fuel. That swap draft gets a little tricky, and I think those who are going to be able to master the low fuel and worn tires are going to be who comes out on top tonight.
Rogers, Peterson are in the pits now, so they're getting their stuff done. I'll be interested to see if they actually take tires or not. I'm not sure if perhaps they just want to do a fuel only and see where they come out. But Rogers actually blows by his pit box. It goes up on the jack, so he's taking tires.
Both of them go up on the jacks.
Yep.
Here comes the duo of Forsyth and Murphy.
Yeah, with the way old tires feel, I would be surprised if everybody doesn't take tires here on this last stop.
I think at this point everybody's done with their pit
Final stops are done.
I was just curious if those guys that pit around lap one on that 150 whatever caution, 155 or so, that they were like, oh, maybe I'll try and not take tires and run the last. But I think they would have to run probably like lap 187, 188 or so to really risk doing like 10 laps on super old tires.
Now 20 to go, and the teammates in third and fourth, Vitor and Santos. So they're going to try to run down this duo of Murphy and Forsyth. And I'm sure they're not talking to one another. They're different teams, but they're savvy enough, and now easily a couple hundred starts between these two spread out over their entire careers. Probably even close to maybe 1,000 starts between these two over their careers here on the service. They don't really need to. It's unwritten. It's very nonverbal at this point. These guys know exactly what each other needs to do. That's why they're swapping this lead back and forth, trying to pull away from the teammates of Vitor and Santos. Because when they get up there, well, we know the aggression level of the Brazilians gets pretty high when they have a sniff of the wind.
Well, as you can see, they're working together here, so it's not very active. If it were, whoa, Vitor came very close to the wall there, but yeah, Edson and Vitor are actually continuing to swap draft here, but it's not effective really because they're doing 40.3s or so. You really want to do in that 40.1, especially fresh out of the pits after like 5 or 6 laps or so. So they're going to keep swap drafting now. It's just going to be a matter of which of the two of them sit on the podium should things stay as they are for the next 17 laps.
Final stops are done. No one else needs to stop unless there's a late caution. Someone wants to come in and slap on another set of tires. We are 17 to go. Late stages here. The Dark Horse 500. Presented by the Joy of Driving.
I'll ask Chris a question here. So I was kind of joking around about 50 laps or so ago, especially because with the short field tonight, there's not a lot of action to just continuously talk about. So I'm wondering at what point in the stint does your mind start to wander, and you wonder if you left the coffee maker on, or you didn't wash the dishes, or walk the dog, or like, are you heavy in battle when you're sitting in that pack there, or are you just in a fuel save like auto mode where you just kind of sit there and then eventually 5 laps later you're like, oh no, I got to take this trash out?
Oh yeah, that once we get spread out, you have those moments a little bit more often for sure. I had a few when we're swap drafting. I know my teammates did too, and it kind of cost us a couple tenths here and there. So, once you get spread out, it's a lot easier to let your mind wander. But when you're in a pack with a bunch of guys, you're really focused on what's going on and everything around you.
Yeah, I actually did I was starting up my karting league that we do on Sunday morning once a month. The first race is actually today. So when we were doing our last stint, I went in the kart and I was racing for a while all by myself on track, not near anybody. And it's very easy to say like, ow, my knee hurts, or my oblique hurts, and like racing like crazy. But then as soon as I found the guy that apparently I was catching for position, you just forget about all that stuff. You're like, okay, lock in there, and suddenly nothing hurts anymore until you're out of the cart. That's such a real life application to that.
Yeah, very good analogy there. That's exactly right. Once you got something to focus on, everything else kind of goes away.
Looks like Vitor and Edson are still kind of swap drafting here. Forsyth, Murphy still swap drafting. I don't know which of these guys are going to finish on the podium here. Well, the Forsyth Murphy swap draft situation, which one of them is going to come out ahead? Because as we get to the last 13 laps here, you start to wonder, where do I got to place myself in turn 3 and turn 4 to make sure I cross the finish line first? Mm-hmm. It's such a long way down that front straightaway to cross that yard of bricks, and sometimes you're like, okay, I want to lead right on the exit of 4 and make sure that I have a nice lead, but you also don't want to have the guy come up with such a huge momentum swing out of turn 4, get that draft, and go right by you, kind of like the Marco Andretti Sam Hornish 2006.
Yeah.
I had to outstat you, Gary. Have you going there? Because I know if I didn't say it, that's exactly what you were going to say.
I was at that race. That was an incredibly hot day. Whew.
But similarly to these two, the Vitor and Edson battle for the last spot on the podium, same thing. You got a podium at the Indy 500. You want to make sure you get that podium. So which of those two guys have come out ahead, who knows? Who knows what kind of discussions that we will never know about, what they're saying to each other is happening in their own voice chat. So, yeah, who's going to win the race and who's going to be on the podium is the big question here, especially with this swap draft. I would imagine for the Edson Vitor situation, Vitor is kind of a rookie here, as you mentioned. It's his first race, so I'm sure Edson will kind of outsmart him somewhere. So I predict it'll be Edson on the podium myself. But, I mean, Craig is he has a lot of experience racing around here. Murph does have some experience, but nothing that shows that he can outsmart. But anything can happen there. Plus we have Forsyth going for that 2,000 miler, so that's going to happen in about 10 laps or so. We can see what happens here.
Going for the perfect season. And well, I guess the perfect season would be also winning all the poles and winning all the races. But perfect season enough here is completing every lap and completing every mile of 400 or 500 mile races, which in itself is a pretty big accomplishment.
Yeah, unfortunately for Stouffer here, it's checkers or wreckers, right? It's win or crash.
Yeah, that was my mindset going in for sure.
Which is, it's actually not a bad thing to say. It's like, well, if I didn't crash, I'd win. Obviously, look at the stats, right?
Yeah, I guess that's one way of looking at it. Stats don't lie, right?
No one wants to remember the 7th place finish. It's only the ones you win or the ones you didn't win.
Right.
Well, I had a 17-point deficit coming into the night, so I know I had to maximize my points.
That's actually kind of remarkable if you think about it. Like, I thought that the wreck would have just put you out completely. And I mean, Gary's obviously went over the points before, but I kind of didn't really realize how close you actually were. If you were to win the race and Craig finished 4th, you win the championship. And that's kind of wild if you get, I mean, I guess it's not really wild if you get 3 wins and a DNF. That should kind of get you there, but it also depends how many drivers show up and the point distribution and all that.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about tonight. You know, I'd hate to, by all means, I mean, I would hate to wish any bad luck on my teammates, but, you know, I kind of needed him to get into a little bit of bad luck and me to have the best luck possible in order for myself to pull it out. But, you know, as we saw, that didn't happen, and here I am rooting for him to pull out the win.
That's what a teammate does. You race them as hard as you possibly can. You don't want them to do well, but then you're out and you're like, go ahead, go for it. I know exactly what that's
absolutely.
like. Coming to 7 to go here now, and still, like, I can't get a measure, Gary. Like, every lap they cross, like, within a whisker of each other.
Yeah.
So that leads me to believe that the strategy has not been shown yet. They're playing around and they're trying to measure where the exit of turn 4 they need to be is. They're kind of playing a bit of a paddy wagon here. They're going, okay, I'm gonna get a little run on you here and make you seem like I'm not gonna get there. But when it comes to be turn 4 of the last lap, it's gonna be crazy.
That's patty cake. Paddy wagon.
What did I say?
You said paddy wagon. That's if you misbehave in the snake pit. That's where they send you when they send you to jail.
Patty cake. Well, what I wanted to say another word that I probably can't say on YouTube. So I had to say patty something. Patty cake.
The little futzing around out there.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd imagine it'll come down to probably last lap, maybe 2 to go before we actually see either one of them deviate from this strategy of swapping here.
Well, you have a lot more experience than probably both of us in the DW12. Do you want to lead the last lap taking the white flag, or do you want to be behind and try and find your way? What do you think the best strategy would be, especially since you've driven this setup and everything?
That was Murph at the line.
I would say I'd rather be the one chasing because you have more options. You can get a better run off the turn, and you can pip him at the line. Now, of course, the block can come into play. So I don't know that we'll see that, maybe one, but, you know, it's a race, so you never know what would happen. Of course, you'd like to be leading, but with the draft envelope on these cars, I'd rather be in second.
And second with a certain amount of gap, like not more than maybe a half second or so, because you want to try and get the momentum building through 1 and 2 down the back straight, etc.
Yeah, I noticed that the most maybe 2/10. 2/10 is about all you want to give up, so you can get that run and put them.
The last 2 times, Murph just edged him at the line. 4 to go, 10 miles. It's a qual run to decide the Dark Horse 500.
I just flipped back to Vitor and Edson, and Vitor disappeared for about 2 seconds. Oh, he's gone again. He's back. So that's probably making Edson a little stressed out. But Vitor seems to have the advantage on him. Edson's not there. I'm wondering if he's maybe just saving his tires, and then, like you said, qual run. Just make sure, and like Chris said, just be like that 2 or 3 tenths back, and then on the last lap, he's going to pounce. And Vitor's not going to know what hit him, basically. Yep, Vitor's gone again, and now he's back.
Coming to 2 to go, this time by cars at the north end of the racetrack. Through the chute, into turn 4. Staring at the start-finish line one more time. Murph, I think, is going to lead that lap barely. And he blinks out.
Oh, God, everyone's blinking now. That's not good.
Murph is now second. Forsyth gets the lead. And now the weave starts.
Now the snake starts. That's right. It's just not enough in these cars. It's very hard to block the draft at Indy. Like Pocono, you can usually do something, for example, but like at Indy, it's just you have such weight on that right rear coming around that no matter what you do, you're always going to kind of go that way anyway. So here we go. It's the last lap. No one's necessarily leading, Chris. It's side by side in turn 1.
Oh! Still side by side. Not a lot of room there on exit that used to be for Murph. Has to check it up a little bit. Still has the lead through the chute and the 2. Going down to the white line. Below the white line. Now side by side midway down the backstretch. Murph trying to fade up a little bit on the racetrack to get a better arc into 3. Both of them side by side through 3. Murph now clear, staying low in the short chute, going through 4. Murph still with the lead. Here comes Forsyth. He's going to get the run down the back, down the backside here. Now down the front stretch to the inside, and I think it's Murph.
Incredible.
0-0
of a second.
Yes,
Wow.
0-0-3.
That was not the last lap that I pictured whatsoever. I mean, Craig defended that right from the beginning, and had to go high in turn 1 there, and I think Craig did everything perfectly there. I thought when he went on the outside of turn 3, I thought it was over, but he did lift just enough to get the run through turn 4, and wow, that was exactly not what I thought would happen. So, wow, what a run there. 2000s is, I think, the closest I've seen in any race that I've been in or spectated or commentated in.
Well, the closest I did before was the 004, which was Caleb Bensi over Robert Malechka in the ERL Indy 500 last May. So this is a little bit closer for me as well. Murph with the win. Forsyth second. Now Forsyth does more than likely get the series championship out of this, as well as completing every single lap and every single mile of the series. So he finished the second today, but probably is going to win the war overall. Vitor in his first start, podium P3. His teammate Santos 4th, Peterson 5th, and a good finish for Peterson here. A top 5 in this league of his. I'm sure he's going to feel pretty good about that. Warren Rogers, a top 6. Good finish for him. Jomo 7th, Casey Pahutsky 8th, Wagner 9th, and Stouffer, you got a top 10 out of this, but you're unfortunately weren't able to finish it rolling, but you got a top 10 nevertheless. So we can add that to the statistics list for you. And next page here is Devin Ramsey, your teammate, unfortunately, with that wreck off of turn 4, right about the 90 lap mark, comes home 11th.
Yeah, I wasn't able to get it done today, but I appreciate you guys bringing me up here and having a chat, and I'll get out of here and let you guys interview these everybody that finished on the podium, and hats off to the winner. Great race, good race right up to the finish.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks for being a part of the series too. That made it a little bit more exciting. So good to see you, and maybe we'll see you more in an IndyCar in the future, whether it be a W12 or an IR18.
Yeah, I appreciate it. No, I need to get back into those. I've been racing the tin tops a lot lately. So my home is here in IndyCar. I think everybody around pretty much knows that and knows what to expect out of me there. So it'll be nice to get back in familiar territory and get back in the open cockpit.
All right, Chris, we'll check you out later, man. Kind of a good one.
All right, thank you.
See you, Chris.
All right. As Murphy, as a fellow Polak, I don't know if he's a fellow Polak. I'm a Polak. I got some Polish in me there. Always good to see a Polish victory lap here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He's going backwards down the backstretch now. And we'll bring up Vitor, who is currently in the waiting room momentarily here. We queue up some replays. All right. And there is Vitor there in chat. We'll bring him on up now. Vitor, welcome to the booth. You have Andrew and Gary here. Congratulations on the P3. Your first, if we understand correctly, we don't see any prior history. This is your first race in the league, so congratulations. First race and a podium at the Indianapolis Dark Horse 500.
Yeah, thanks. That's right. It's my first race here. And, well, I'm really happy by the result, There were some parts in the race where it didn't seem that the things were going well, but in the end I got a good result, so I'm really happy about, So, well, and the good thing is that there is going to be a lot of lessons to learn here in this race. It's I think it's the longest race I've done.
Wow.
In novels.
Well, I was going to ask, what experience have you done with the Indianapolis Motor Speedway? Have you raced here in another car, another series, any sort of short races here, or is this literally like I'm just showing up to Indianapolis and for the first time going for it? And what were your thoughts as the race continued, especially as I mentioned in the broadcast, it gets a little boring and your mind wanders and everything like that. So, answer any of those questions.
Yeah, well, I've raced here before, not with the W12, I've raced here with the IR18.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a different race, because Indianapolis is kind of tough to find like some way out of dirty air, But in the IR18s, you have the change, in the way jacket, which compensate for the dirty air,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it's my first race here with this car, and well, I don't know what I expect exactly, in terms of dirty air, or And yeah, that's basically the experience I had in Indianapolis. Actually,
you
I've
sound
also
tired a little
tried.
bit. You're like,
Yeah.
Are you tired?
Yeah, I'm tired, I have a little pain in my wrist,
Yep,
now.
yep. All that
It's
turning
also
left
kind
so
of,
much.
yeah, it's yeah. It's also kind of hot here, where I live now.
Well, that definitely matters as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
Not every house has an air conditioner in it. So yeah, and
yeah.
certainly you get yourself sitting behind one of these wheels, and yeah, you can definitely work up a stretch. Well, before we let you go, anybody you want to say hi to? Shout out to friends, family, sponsors. Of course, probably the Leader Energy team. You guys came and represented today. Anybody else you want to say hi to?
Well, I'd like to send some hi to my parents, my grandparents, my uncles who usually watch the race. Uh, I like to send them the link to the race for them to watch, and they are always trying to watch everything. So I like to send hi for them support for the support. Uh, and for also everyone in Linear Energy who has been helping with like of on the road to of getting better in IndyCar. Yeah.
Well, congratulations. First race here in the Dark Horse Series is a podium. We hope to see you more when the regular season starts again in the future, October, November. Not sure exactly when that is, but a great way to start off your career here. P3 at the Dark Horse 500 Indianapolis. Congratulations, and we will catch you at the next race, Vitor.
Thank you so much. I hope to see you guys later.
You got it.
Yep, have a good one.
All right, and let's go ahead and let's bring Murph in first, because I think Forsyth pretty much has the championship. So I just want to double check here. Seasons here and see if we updated everything. 4 races completed. Yep, the points are updated, and the standings. Yep, Craig Forsyth won as your points leader, points champion, excuse me. 176 points over 155 for Mark Murphy and 139 for Chris Stouffer. So good thing we had Chris. We actually now get to talk to the points podium. But let's bring in Murph if he's around. There he is. He's in general. And let's bring him on up. Murph, got you here. Congratulations on the win, narrowest of all margins. Were you measuring that margin at all in those final 10 laps or so as you kept leading Craig down the front stretch?
No, I was just trying to make it home without hitting anything. To be honest with you, that's the great thing about racing with guys like Craig Forsyth is, you know you're safe and they're not going to do anything to put themselves in jeopardy. They're gonna run you as absolutely as hard as you want, but they're not gonna do anything to put themselves in jeopardy. And Craig and I ran each other inch perfect over those last 2 laps, and I don't even know what the margin of victory was. I didn't even know I'd won until we got down to turn 2, to be honest with you.
0-0-3 is what I have, but it might actually be closer on the timing and scoring that Andrew has.
Yeah, I mean, that was as close as it gets. I mean, just all kudos to Craig. I mean, like, I haven't even seen it. I guess I can go back and watch it, but yeah, I mean, just so much fun. Finally won at the right distance here.
Go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, so at what part of the race did you feel like you had some sort of advantage over anyone else you were riding around? Was it after I guess I should say after the cautions fell, obviously? Like, were you trying to back your stints up from the end, say do like 25 25 25, or were you set on just going just based on feel, based on what everyone else is doing? What was your kind of strategy for how you wanted to back up the end of the race?
My thought was try to go as long as you could, just because just because, you know, one, you want to kind of guard against the caution. I mean, I know you don't go a lap down here, and I know you'd be back in the lead, but I wanted the freshest tires possible for the end. The car got very, very free over the last, I'm going to say 5 or 6 laps of a run, and so I wanted to have as much tire as I could at the end, and that really paid off. I wanted to have as fresh tires as I could, because I didn't want to get into that zone where, you know, the tires were going off, and I knew that if it came down to it, it was going to be a version of, well, once Craig and I broke the draft in the second to last stint, I knew it was going to be a version of either me pinching him or him pinching me. So we had to have the freshest tires possible. And then, you know, it was kind of funny on the radio. We actually agreed to come together, which that's kudos to Craig again. You know, all thanks to Matt Wagner and Mark Cohn and Eric Peterson and all the people that put this on. This league has been so much fun, and I can't honestly believe it.
Well, it sounds like you're tired. It is getting late here in the Indiana area, but well, right now it's coming up on 10 till 10, so it's been a long day. 500 miles, a lot of green flag racing, and as you mentioned, then not exactly cars that were the best handling midway through the run. So we'll let you go celebrate. Of course, you know the drill. You got to take a video of yourself drinking milk and put it on the Dark Horse Discord.
You've already got the picture, Gary. You can probably put it on the air. Check your phone.
But okay, all right, it is already on my phone. But on top of that, any other shout outs, friends, family, sponsors you want to give a holler to?
Yeah, it's you know, thanks to Andy and Brian and Colby and all the group at Blackmagic Studios, Blackmagic Designs. Their support is amazing, and I learn as much from them as they do for me. Kendall Paul, amazing endurance teammate. He and I finished on the podium here in the 6 hours. Shout out to you, Gary, at P1. I mean, I've had your name on my car for, God, it seems like an eternity now, but I just so very much appreciate you and all the gang that we work with. It's so much fun, and thank you and Andrew for calling this one. I hope it was entertaining. Got to give a shout out to Admin Box, race control at the touch of a button. Those guys are absolutely amazing. If you're a race controller and you need a button box specifically for that, go check out Admin Box. And then Jesper and Seb and Rashad and Kevin and Sam, Will, all the guys at IAR. I mean, you can't calculate how awesome it is to be a part of that team. And you know, I learn buckets every day, and I worry sometimes that I don't contribute as much to them as they contribute to me, but just absolutely thanks to them. Jesper got me yesterday, and he wasn't here in this one. He doesn't drive these cars a lot, but, you know, thanks to everything that they've done for me and taught me. It's a pleasure being a part of that team. And you know, the last one you got to say is, you know, thanks to Matt Wagner and Mark Cohn. I mean, running 400 or 500 mile races with those two guys has been a blast. It always hasn't been perfect. I think we've run over each other in pit lane. We've all sped on pit lane. You know, but it's so much fun just to run these races with your friends. Shout out to Craig, man. I mean, I'm looking at the finish now. I mean, whatever the margin is officially, it's about a third of the width of the front wing. I mean, it's not much. And, you know, it's amazing 500 miles. You can race that close. He and I swapped the lead, I think, for 2/3 of the race. And, you know, we finished, you know, 2 inches apart. And that's just, the skill of that guy is incalculable. And it's so much fun to race with him. And I don't know, man. We're going to celebrate tonight.
Tried showing your picture. It won't show for some reason, but I got it.
I'm sure you'll have it I'm sure you'll be able to get it there. I'll put it in the Dark Horse Discord. But yeah, that was Natalie Natalie heard me yelling. She came running in the room, and thanks to her for letting me do this.
That's the important one. Yep.
Yeah, that's the important one. She came running in the room. She's like, "Why are you yelling?" And I just yelled back at her, "Bring the milk." And she knew, like,
for sure,
the instant recognition, right, of what that meant. And that's pretty cool. That, you know, she doesn't sim race. She barely drive a Honda Pilot, but
just make sure you pour the milk all over your head and all that stuff.
I'm not Caleb Vincey. I won't do that. Not Vincey. That's his deal. But
yeah.
No, I mean, she can, you know, sometimes she struggles with a Honda Pilot, but the instant recognition of what that meant. You know, it's always so cool to have a spouse and a partner and living with your best friend, and they know what that means. And so kudos to her, and thanks for her for putting up with it. But we finally won the right distance, Gary.
Yep. Just in due time. Well, congratulations on the win. That brings you to second in the points championship. And that probably pretty good momentum for when the next Dark Horse season starts, season 8 here, probably sometime in October or November. We shall see. But congratulations, finally getting that win at the 500-mile mark here at Indianapolis. And go enjoy your milk. Go and celebrate with the family. And we will catch you later this week for sure on a future P1 broadcast.
Yeah, boys. Gary, Andrew, thank you so much for what you do, and thank you so much for showing these races. Keep going fast and having fun, boys.
No problem. And there goes Mark. Let's bring down finished second today by the thinnest of all margins, but he is the winner of the mini series for this summer. We'll bring him on down right now. Craig Forsyth. Craig Forsyth, you didn't win the battle, but you won the war. I know you wanted to win the battle, but you did everything you needed to do in order to protect that points lead in the championship, win the championship, completed every single lap and every single mile, and that makes you the number one guy at the top of the standings.
I'm calling that a great day. To lose by Mark by such a, what was it, 0.003 or something?
Yeah,
such a small like I'm fine with that. That was a great race. He's a great competitor, and we had, just doing the swap draft back and forth, and all through the race you could see that any of the guys that became the front two, it was work hard, swap draft, and then I think we were back in 3 and 4, Chris and I at one point, and it's just like, all right, we have to swap draft and work our way up, and man, you make the slightest mistake on a swap draft, and it's like, you've 15 laps worth of swap drafting down the tube because you missed a corner entry, and suddenly you've lost a 10th, and it took you 15 laps to make that 10th up in the first place. It was a hard night.
Yeah, I guess that my question was about the swap draft there. So, we saw multiple times where you're in the second pack, the second pairing there, as it were. And yeah, I guess it took several laps to get like 100th at a time. And yeah, if you mess up one swap draft, then suddenly you lose like a 10th and a half, and then 15 laps is gone, like you said. So did you feel confident, or like were there certain people that you knew that you could make it forward with, or was it just kind of like just be patient and maybe have a better pit stop to try and beat someone out onto the track just by getting some track position that way?
It was funny. I was completely dependent on who I was. I was worse at the swap draft than Mark. I was worse at the swap draft than Edson. I was worse at the swap draft than Matt. I was worse than at Chris. I'm like, whoever gets me as their partner is not the happy dance person. They're like, oh, I got you. Great. You're the slower one. It was because it was
not a great spot to be.
No, I am the one who's prone to make those little mistakes, and it's like it just kept happening. We as the second person, or as the second group, I was there, and I'm like, all right, we're going, and I'm like, and I just screwed up that corner, and we just lost a 10th. I'm like, good. Or when we were leading, and I'm like, okay, they're 1.8 seconds behind. All I've got to do is just make sure that. And nope, we've just lost it. It's like, okay, so it's me. I'm the common factor here.
You're the problem.
Yeah, exactly. No, it was too bad for Matt. Matt and Edson. I mean, well, even Vitor at the end. I mean, those guys made tried to do the cut there. It didn't work out, and I mean, I knew that Mark and I were, we were attached at the hip at that point. It was whenever I went in, he was going in. Whenever he was going in, I was going in. We knew that, so it was just a matter of getting ourselves out and getting the swap draft working well. And yeah, it's unfortunate for Chris, but good for me, I guess.
Nah, that's just good for you.
I'll take it.
Good for you and 4D, I guess. Now we got championship-winning hardware that Jim can sell now.
Yes, no, it's unfortunate that for Chris and Devin. I mean, Devin stayed. I mean, Devin stayed with me as a spotter the whole race, and then Chris popped up with you guys just as it was a bad night for the rest of the team. It just happened to work out really well for me, so which was good. I think at one point, I mean, I felt sorry for Eric because he was on pole again, running really good early on, and I mean, I think we were running Eric, Chris, then me. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm pretty sure as long as we just stay like this, I still win anyways. So, okay, I'll take this.
Well, we talked about it during the end of the Pocono race. You did what you have won in Area 51 in terms of a series championship.
Yeah, I think I won Area 51 twice now.
So two-time champ there, and now a one-time champ in Dark Horse, adding to that championship shelf that you got there going on in your game room and in your sim room there.
Yeah, I don't win the championships very often, but I'm there for the races and to make it hard on people. I'm a pretty good second place guy in whatever as a season finisher. So I think my runner up status is pretty well established at this point.
Well, not today. You're the champ today.
I will take it, but I did finish second in the race.
Right.
No, it's good. I mean, it's too bad that Jim couldn't be out tonight, but I mean, if you're going to be at Indy watching IMSA races, I think that's the better option, honestly.
Right.
Between sitting at a computer and watching actual real life racing, I know which one I'd pick.
That's true. That's definitely true. Well,
hopefully he was able to stream it or something like that, but I'm sure he'll watch it back later. But no, Jim, good sponsor for 4D Racewear, sponsor for the league, sponsor for the car, been around forever. And I mean, good on Mark Cohn for sponsoring the summer series. I mean, it's he had a family emergency that took him away from racing today, but it sounds like everything's all good.
That's
so
good. That's good.
We're glad for that.
We've had enough of family emergencies for a while. Yeah.
Just had to deal with one of those in one of my best friends earlier. Well, it happened yesterday actually. So yeah, it's been we don't like acknowledging that we get older, but it's a thing, right?
And getting old sucks, but
it does.
Enough of the family emergencies. Everyone, let's get on. We can walk out of this place today, head held high. And I just want to say for the 4D squad, I mean, you guys are now starting to build up quite the IndyCar resume. Of course, you had your teammate won the amateur division over in FIS. You won here now in Dark Horse. So 4D Racewear, the 4D Racewear squad definitely is up and coming in the ranks, and so that's a good thing. So and Jim's been so good to the community in terms of supporting everybody. It's good to see good guys finish first, yourself included, and Jim. So congratulations. Any other final shout outs, friends, family, sponsors you want to say hi to before we let you go, since you are the champion of the series?
I mean, I got to thank everyone who did the summer series. I mean, I know it is the summer, and usually that's our off time for Dark Horse. So thanks for all the drivers who came out, and we're like, to heck with it. It may be nice out, but I want to sit in my basement for a while and play some video games.
Right.
So we love you all. I know I started to this tonight we didn't have the biggest turnout, but overall I think our average turnout was high teens. So that's really good for just a one-off summer 4-race summer series in between the actual Dark Horse seasons. So we will absolutely take that. Thanks to everyone who came out for that. And yeah.
Well, you are now tied. No, wait a minute. You might be. No, now these are updated by the moment. So you're now tied all time for third most wins in the series with Nick DeGroot. You're 2 behind Rick Ravon, who's in second place, and 3 behind King Robert for the all-time lead here in Dark Horse. So conceivably in the next season or two, you got some time to move up in the standings, just like Scotty Dixon does. So
I just got to stick around. That's all.
Yeah, stick around.
Perseverance.
Stick around, and that's all that good stuff. So congratulations, man. We are very thrilled for you, and we hope that you guys go celebrate and have a great time with this championship.
I'm going to go have some lasagna.
Thanks,
Gary. Thanks, Andrew. Thanks for doing the broadcast on. It's been good talking to you guys all summer.
Should we call you Garfield at this point? Is that what you were saying?
I do like my cats.
Okay, so you're Garfield then.
We'll take it.
All right, go enjoy your lasagna and Victory Beverage. We'll check you when the season starts anew in season 8, whenever that is.
You betcha. You guys have a good rest of your final couple hours of your weekend, and stay safe.
Got it.
Thanks, Craig.
Well, Andrew, final thoughts here from Indianapolis for this little 4-race series. You don't have to win them all, but it certainly helps if you finish them all.
Well, that goes back to our chat with Stouffer. It's checkers or wreckers. You know? He had a shot to win the whole thing, even though he wrecked out of one of the 4 races. So, unfortunate for him there. But, I mean, my final thought really is going back to what I said on the pre-race, that we may have a small grid, 11 cars. Yeah, there was some quiet times that we had where we really couldn't find much to chat about. But, I mean, these guys put on a show every single week, and there's always something to talk about. And there's something that we can find strategy-wise, what certain drivers are doing that actually makes it very fun to call. So we have quite a range of talent in this Dark Horse series, and I'm very much looking forward to whatever comes next season. And once more drivers show up and we have a legit longer championship, it might actually kind of pan out a little bit unpredictably, and who knows what could happen. So I'm excited for that, and I think we had a very successful summer run here.
And again, my most highest appreciation and thanks for you joining me all season long for these races. Do realize your life is a busy one as well, and to take time to join me for these, I think as my broadcast partners go, you rank right up there as one of the ones that we always bring on a good product for the customer. So thank you very much for being part of here and being part of the product. And and hopefully all goes well, I will see you in season 8 of the Dark Horse series when they announce that schedule here sometime in the future.
You know, I'd much rather do this than mope and be upset about fantasy football. So that's been kind of my last couple weeks here. So yes, I'm much more happy keeping my mind off that. So well, hopefully, I imagine that'll continue once the Dark Horse season restarts again.
And we don't have any idea when that next race will be, but we'll keep you. Best way to keep you posted, everybody to keep posted, is just join the Discord server. The link is in the description. So we're just going to wrap it up for tonight. That's it for tonight. Once again, your podium for the Dark Horse 500 presented by the Joy of Driving from Indianapolis is Mark Murphy with the win by 0.003 of a second. And then Victor Guillaume finishing third there in his first ever, sounds like it's his longest IndyCar race and first start here in the series. So what a way to kick off your career. The longest race and get yourself a podium. Not bad at all. And congratulations to Craig Forsyth for winning the series championship for this summer and this summer series. So really the next thing that everybody could do is tomorrow night, just join LGN and myself at 9:45 p.m. Eastern time when we bring the action of the ISRA to you at Chicagoland, one of the most competitive truck series around with 98% green flag racing. You want to check them out. That's 9:45 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Myself, LGN, the ISRA Truck Series, Chicagoland. Don't miss it. Now, As you know, the YouTube algorithm game is not easy, so please help support P1 with the weekly grind. Leave a comment below. Let us know your thought of tonight's race. And if you enjoyed tonight's coverage, you got to support us by smashing like in the video. And if you're new, click subscribe. And while you're at it, hit the bell for weekly reminders so don't miss out on more of P1's other iRacing programming. We have a week full of it, including not just Monday, but Tuesday. Don't forget, IndyCar Oval Series, 8:15 p.m. Eastern, all right here on P1. Season-long race coverage of the Dark Horse 2,000-mile ride series are brought to you by the Joy of Racing. Looking for entertaining sim racing content? Well, hey, we all are. Look no further than the Joy of Driving. Follow Mark Cohn's racing escapades as he battles for wins and avoids wrecks with cat-like reflexes, all the while providing commentary sure to make you laugh, cry, or both. Follow along by subscribing to the Joy of Driving on YouTube, or like his Facebook page at The Joy of Driving. Track cams today provided by Whiplash Sim Cams. Get the most out of your iRacing experience with Whiplash. To learn more about Whiplash, follow them on X and Instagram, like them on Facebook. All the links are in the description. So, for the Catalyst, Andrew Wood, everyone here at P1 in the Dark Horse Racing Series, I'm Gary Gonzo saying all, thanks for watching. And to all of our men and women serving in the military and as first responders, Godspeed, God bless, and come home safe. Once again, congratulations to the Summer Series champion, Craig Forsyth, and you can catch us right here again for the next race of the Dark Horse DW12 Series. Good night, everybody.